Okay, folks, we're going to get started. We have one additional part of the pre-board meeting Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have my gavel, so I'm going to need to use my teacher voice. Is that what they call it? We have one other item that we didn't cover in our pre-board meeting. It relates to the Gary Simon ATAD scholarship recipients, Sharon, help me out here? Garfinello and Tanya Thompson. Thompson, please come on up. Thanks. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hi, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I just wanted to briefly just share what ATAD is. We're a non-for-profit 501(c) international exchange here in Rochester. We're a local organization that's been around for over 60 years. And this evening we're honoring one of our Rochester City School District students for the Gary Simon Scholarship. If anyone's interested in finding out more about us, again, we're the Association for Teenage Diplomats. We have a website, and it's atad.org, and we're looking for board members, host families, exchange students. We'd love to see more Rochester City School District representation. We offer 2 scholarships, full scholarship, to study either a summer abroad or an academic year in the countries that we represent, which tie into ESCOR, which is the International Sister Cities of Rochester, as well as a summer. And there's a second scholarship, which is for $1,000.
Great, thank you. Hi. Thank you again. My name is Tanya Thompson, and I'm on the board. This is our president, Sharon, of a board. It's a working board, so if you agree to come help us, you will work. It's a wonderful board.
Yes, we are a volunteer board.
Yes. Anyhow, I'm going to read this real quick. The Association of Teenage Diplomats is proud to offer a full scholarship in our exchange program. This will be awarded, and it is, to an RCSD student in various countries such as Caltanissetta, Italy, and Iquitos, Peru, Turkey, Poland, Russia, Mali, France. We have all these countries. And so we've been doing this for a while. Actually, the board, the young lady up there, she's a scholar. She's a previous winner from Wilson, is that right? And she spent the summer in Rennes, France, and she had a wonderful, life-changing experience. Is that right? So, okay, Gary Simon. Let's talk about that for real quick. Okay, so the scholarship, Gary Simon, is in honor of a Wilson Magnet School Administrator, Gary Simon, who dedicated his life to the Rochester City School District and to the advancement of international understanding. Okay, this organization was founded in 1951, and as Sharon already said. So this year we're particularly lucky. I am the ATAD Gary Simon Scholarship Chair, whatever. What am I? Yes, chair. And so this is only my second year doing this, and in the 2 years, you know, I'm really challenged to get more applicants from the Rochester City School District. So I attend the fairs, I send an email blast to the counselors trying to get students. So we had 2 students, one of which just applied because she knew about it. These 2 students were both from School of the Arts, both wonderful students who were like points, literally, away from winning the award. Now, the winner of the award is Alyssa Stager, who is a senior at School of the Arts, who just graduated, and she will be attending University of Rochester. However, she's going to be traveling to Caltanissetta, Italy, for a year. So that's a perfect gap year opportunity for her, and she will enter college in 2018, September. Unfortunately, she's a senior, so you know how kids do when they get out of school, right? She's somewhere. No, my mother said she was out of town, and she wasn't able to be here tonight. So we're very proud of her. She was very excited about winning this award, and she's going to be in in Italy for a whole year, so that's wonderful. But this year, we were able to also do something more for our runner-up. Our runner-up is present, and our runner-ups generally win a $1,000 scholarship towards their trip. Well, this year, our wonderful board president worked with the
Various communities
Polish,
in the Polish
organizations.
areas.
Yes, because we have a host family in Poland waiting to receive one of our wonderful young people. So our wonderful runner-up, he was the second applicant, meaning that I only had 2 applicants, and this is a problem. We should have more applicants, so encourage young people to apply. But it's great for them because they didn't have much competition. So the runner-up has received a full scholarship as well because of these wonderful Polish organizations. And he is going to go to Krakow, Poland in July for 6 to 8 weeks. So we're very proud to present him. And so this young man had a wonderful application. So Gary Simon Memorial Scholarship Runner-Up Award. ATAD is proud to present this award to Jordan Majors. Who is also, we gotta take a picture, we gotta take a picture. Wait, you wanna take a picture, move over? Come cozy. Yeah, I'm not moving anywhere. Come over. Thank you. Who's also a student at School of the Arts. He's a junior year. So, and that's all that we have to present. Again, as Sharon said, if you have any questions, if you'd like to be a host family, if you join our board, any of that, we would love to have you. So thank you very much for your time. We're all done.
All right. At this particular point in time, we have to, we have to begin our meeting with, of course, the Pledge of Allegiance. My tradition as president has been to identify a young person to lead us in the pledge. And so I'm looking for, who's it?
She'll do it.
Oh, there's a young man back there raising his hand. Come on up. Let's give this young man a round of applause. I like a young man who volunteers in all sorts of ways. Just take that mic over there, sir. Tell us your name and what school you go to.
My name is Ricardo Roberto, and I go to the Leadership Academy for Young Men.
All right, now let's everybody stand with Ricardo.
Let's please rise for the pledge.
Right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's give him another round of applause. All right. As we reflect on the national tragedies that have occurred and losses that this nation has suffered, and we witness in the news, we unfortunately have our own losses in this community, and we've recently lost another member of the district family, Gary Smith. Gary was our purchasing agent for, I think, about 11 years. And if you didn't admire Gary for his work as a purchasing agent for this district, you had to admire the way Gary courageously continued to perform those functions for this district while he was struggling with cancer. It was really something to witness. We think we struggle in our lives with our own issues, and everything is relative, folks. And Gary was able to put it all in perspective and continue to serve the citizens and families of this community. So I would ask that you dedicate just a few seconds to that courage, in memory of that courage. And if it is within your spirit, share a prayer for his wife, Kathleen, and his children and his grandchildren. All right. Then we got to move on with the business of this district, which I'm sure Gary would want us to do. I first have to have the minutes of our May 25th business meeting and June 9th special meeting approved. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And moved by Vice President Elliott, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Powell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I've got to tell you all, there's a couple rules. I see Lori sort of looking at me on the corner. I know she's somewhere in here telling me, that there are rules that we have in this building that the fire marshal will impose on us, that has imposed on us. There are exits. You see them brightly lit. If, God forbid, there's an emergency, go through those exits. Lori and her team have made sure that there are signs that tell you how to get out of this building safely. Not that we would expect anything like that to happen, but if it did, we need to let you know how to do that. And of course, if you have to go to the bathroom or excuse yourself, we'd ask that you leave this room. Do it quietly and respectfully, because throughout the course of this meeting, people will be engaged in the business of this district, and it's important that people be able to hear what others are saying. And the only other rule that we have here is, and I prefer to say it now rather than later, because when I say it later, people think I'm being mean and nasty and disrespectful. And in fact, I'm not. This board has today we have a 2-minute rule, is that right? Or is it 3? It's 3. It depends on the number of speakers, ladies and gentlemen. So today, it is 3 minutes. Our clerk, Dr. Shanae Lee, will let you know when your time is up. And this little obnoxious clock will start to chime. And that's to let you know your time is up. And if you see me move this mic like I'm getting towards this mic, I'm getting ready to tell you, please sit down. And I don't want to do that because it looks very disrespectful, but it's not. And I'm not trying to protect the board, I'm trying to protect all these people who want to speak. So please, when your time is up, you'll know it. The bell will start to ring. I will encourage you to sit down if you don't. But please, don't let it get to that. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be heard. All right. So, with that having been said, we have a speakers list. We'll begin with, and if I mispronounce the names, I apologize. Onijah Anderson. Onijah Anderson. Onijah Anderson will be followed by Justin Morales, and I would ask Justin to stand to the left of, stand to the left, and then Morales will follow. Yep.
I'm a student at the Leadership Academy.
I'm sorry, you have to.
You have to speak to the mic, sir.
I'm a student at the Leadership Academy, and I'm a 10th grader. And my name is Onijah Anderson.
I'm sorry.
And that's okay. And if early college comes, if they come to our school, I wouldn't want that to happen because a lot of conflict and between the schools and sports, and I don't think it would be enough space for them to be in our school, and our sports and things would be difficult to manage if they're in our school at the same time. And plus, our schools get out at different times, so it'll be difficult for us to continue on with our day, and they're getting out earlier than us. And yeah, I hope all of our concerns are taken into consideration. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Amen. Justin Morales will be followed by Memde Tule. And again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the names. Okay. Okay.
Hi, my name is Justin Morales, and I am a 10th grader at the Leadership Academy for Young Men.
Speak right into the mic so we can understand.
I feel like what me and my brothers have at the Leadership Academy is great. Our graduation rate is kind of good. Well, it's not kind of good. It's really good. And I feel like that would all change if early college would come to our building. And feel like one major conflict that would come to our building next year is the girls. Girls would change everything.
That's probably
Because we are all boys school, and I mean, who doesn't like girls? And I feel like that if they come, we would be really distracted. That's
Thank you, sir. Ricardo Roberto will be followed by Daquan Hilton.
Good evening. Like they just mentioned, my name is Ricardo Roberto, and I go to Leadership Academy for Young Men. I'm a 10th grader, and there are many concerns if early college does come to our building. There's nothing against them, but we have a brotherhood here. I want to graduate. I know my brothers want to graduate. I'm here for us to graduate. And just and nothing against females, bringing females is going to add a major conflict. We have to adapt again to the fact that there are females coming into our building. And us as brothers, we trust each other. We could let loose, we could ask questions, we could raise our hand without feeling intimidated by the females there. Because when you're around the female, you want to look cool. You're like, yeah, I'm the man, there's a girl right there, I'm going to look cool for her. But while my brothers are there, there's no females, oh, that's my brother, it doesn't matter if they laugh at me. Because when I walk out this room, we're brothers. When I go into my next class, we're brothers. When I go onto Facebook and I see something about my school, about these sports, we're brothers. And they're the ones putting them up. They're the ones putting the posts, they're the ones that are there behind me. And if there's females, if there's another school to come in and interrupt that, our brotherhood, our bond will be broken. Our graduating rate, we're getting better at it. But if we add another distraction to that, who knows how bad or how can it affect our graduating rate. Us as brothers, we're there to lift each other up when we're falling. We're there to help each other out when there's a problem. And if we bring other people into this room, into this bubble that we have, it could pop. And we don't want our bubble to pop, because then all of our insecurities, all of our standards, all of our expectations just fall out. And when you pop that bubble, you pop the young men that we're becoming. And thank you, have a good evening.
All right. Mr. Hilton will be followed by Isaac Dominguez.
Hello. All right. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
All right. I guess some of us may have forgot that Leadership Academy for Young Men is an all-boys school. And for the Rochester State School District wanting black males to graduate, it doesn't make any sense to me that they would put a distraction into a school. And it's kind of hard for me to understand, because they said that we have space in our school. But how can we have space in our school when we have incoming 6th graders? Where are those 6th graders going to attend school at? How is early college going to be able to attend our school? I heard they're trying to take our floors. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to get our education at? That's our building. We moved three times, and I don't know how long we have got promised to get our own building. And we finally got it, and now it's trying to get taken away. To me, that makes no sense. They want us all to graduate, but they're trying to put a distraction in our school. We're trying to do something different in the community. All public boys school, allowing anybody to come, all type of young men, the good ones, the bad ones, trying to get them off the street. And then here they go trying to mess it all up. Our graduation rate is already low as it is. Do we want to continue to make it plummet? It doesn't make any sense for us to have a co-ed school come into there. You guys saw what happened to Charlotte. It's going to just be another Charlotte, if you ask me. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Isaac Dominguez, followed by Jaquez Guen. Again, I might have that name wrong. It's Jaquez, Guen, Gheun. No? All right, how about Joseph Goings? There's Joseph. Come on up, Joseph. Give Joseph a round of applause. Hey, Joseph. And he'll be followed by Nicholas Winston. Nicholas Winston.
Hello, my name is Joseph A. Goings. I'm an 8th grade student at Leadership Academy. Today I would like to address how moving Wilson Early College into our building will disrupt our culture and theirs. Leadership is an all-boys school, as you know. Students and our parents purposely made the decision to attend an all-boys school because of what our school stands for. Here's the reason why we are not a co-ed school, and it works. When I came to leadership from 6th grade, I had a 2.0 GPA. I was taunted by the label of having ADHD. Today I have a 4.0, have been attending honor roll since my first year at leadership. I have earned multiple academic and athletic awards while attending leadership. I also enjoy being a part of the basketball, football, and tennis team, where I earned the opportunity to be the team captain. I have become more focused on my future, more disciplined, and more self-aware. Leadership is more than a school.
Finish up.
More than a school, but a brotherhood. It's our culture.
Excellent.
My name is Jarvis Cocker, not Gibson. And I feel the same way my brothers do as leadership, early college coming to our school. If you knew, when Charlotte was in our building, we had basketball fights with the other team. We didn't have no space during practice for them to come. And like my brother said, it's a co-ed school coming to all-boys school. I signed up for all-boys school to focus on myself, and knowing that girls are a distraction to me. And it defeats the purpose of them coming to our school totally because of what we're trying to build. And if you look at our graduation rates from when Charlotte was in the building and when we had our own building, it skyrocketed. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Winston. We had one more speaker. Nicholas Winston, is he here? All right, let's give these gentlemen a round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen.
Follow me.
Lead the way.
I'm a student at the Leadership Academy for Young Men.
I'm a student at the Leadership Academy for Young Men.
I'm the future.
I'm the future.
I'm the future.
I'm the future.
I'm accountable of success.
I'm accountable of success.
My success is upon my own actions.
My success is upon my own actions.
I'm disciplined.
I'm disciplined.
Courteous.
Loyal.
Courageous.
Courageous.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself.
I believe in our teachers.
We believe in our teachers.
We believe in each other.
We believe in each other.
And my brothers give me the strength to by the street.
My brothers give me the strength to by the street.
Oh.
All right now. Wonderful job. That's a wonderful job. Next, we have speakers not addressing an agenda item. We'll begin with Marcella Davis. Marcella Davis will be followed by Pia Moeller. And again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names. Marcella Davis, to be followed by Pia Moeller. How about Kyle Semmel? Kyle Semmel? When you take to the podium, if you could just say your name so we make sure we keep track. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you for giving us the chance to speak tonight. My name is Pia Miller. I'm a parent in the Rochester City School District. My son goes to School 53, that's the Montessori Academy, and that's what I want to speak about tonight, Montessori education. My son attends the only public Montessori school in the district, and like many other parents, I was really thrilled when he got into the school because it's a citywide school and there's a lottery. And he'd previously gone to Montessori school in Milwaukee, and I loved what that did for him. And now he's in School 53, and I would say that it's a different experience. And it's a different experience because of our lack of investment in that model. Montessori philosophy has receded into the background at his school, and it looks and sounds more and more like a traditional school. And I'm not criticizing the teachers or the staff. My son has excellent teachers and very good aides as well. They're very competent, they're very committed to their vocation. But they don't come out of a Montessori background, and it's not something you learn that easily. We need more training, we need more education. It requires a different skill set, a different approach, and it's not fair to the kids or to the teachers either to sort of take teachers from traditional schools and drop them into a Montessori environment. In Montessori, teachers are supposed to be facilitators It's differentiated, individualized learning. Kids learn at their own pace. They're guided by a teacher. They have freedom to explore different lesson options or concentrations. It's hands-on. It's multisensorial. They have multiple age groups working together. It's a 3-year span. So they learn a lot of sort of social and emotional skills as well as the academic skills. And they have special materials and so on. And so teachers really need to be trained to be Montessori educators. The online professional development, I don't think is sufficient. So this is something that comes up with, in discussions with other parents. And in our April PTA meeting at our school, we talked about how can we better support our teachers as they pursue more professional development in Montessori. Obviously, it costs money to do so, right? So one of the things we're thinking about is there are public Montessori schools in Buffalo and in Syracuse. Can we make ourselves a hub for Montessori education in this part of the state, in this part of the country? There's a national shortage of educators with a Montessori background. We have the advantage of being right in the middle of 3 major cities. Could we invest in that? Could we get buy-in from Buffalo and from Syracuse? I think that would be a great opportunity. So I really encourage the board and our superintendent to contemplate that and to try to explore that more. Right now, at School 53, it shares the Freddie Thomas Learning Campus with School 16, but the 3rd floor is empty, so we already have a great space where we can do these sessions. We need to find out how we can get money for them, obviously, but there's a space, and I think that there's a group of people. We already have a great Montessori coach in our school. One Montessori coach is not enough, though, so we need to really bring in more Montessori educators to create longer sessions and more foundation for the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marcella Davis. Today, once again, I am here to address the board as a parent and a representative for the scholars and parents of early college. Displacing our scholars raises questions about the district's strategy for schools in vulnerable neighborhoods that tend to serve poor Black and brown students. Rochester City School is a high-poverty, racially isolated district. The district representatives keep saying that this move is to benefit the children. I disagree. The disruption of having to change school environments will negatively impact students, especially our friends who are special needs scholars. Integrating early college with Leadership Academy will create tension and stress for scholars and the staff because of lack of resources. Scholars who travel long distances to come to school less often, long commutes influence tardiness, truancy, school transfers, dropouts, tiredness, incompletion of classwork, disruption of peer and teacher networks, and its effects on teaching and learning processes, as well as its relationship to poor academic performance. More than half of the scholars at early college live in the area where the school is currently located. The class of 2015 at early college had a 72% graduation rate, which is higher than the average for Rochester City School District over the last 2 years at 50%. Graduation rates are one of the most important indicators of a school's success. Early college is a priority school, and we must continue to build upon successes, not take them away. Early college has a strong community support. Many of our scholars are employed as youth coordinators at Teen Empowerment. The residents around Charlotte have reacted negatively, just as they did to school number 9 when the district wanted to relocate them to Charlotte. As parents, we are just as uncomfortable with sending our children to an unfamiliar neighborhood where they are not welcome. Charlotte is geographically too far away for many parents to remain engaged. Early college is a community school and therefore should not be dismantled. I would like to thank the staff at Early College, Mr. McDonald, Ms. Engler, Ms. JoJo, and if I forgot to name a few of you, I want to let you know as a parent, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being educators from the heart.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kyle Semo. I'm a parent of a kindergartner at Montessori Academy, the husband of the woman who spoke previous to the last speaker. And I'm just going to speak a little bit on Montessori as well. And a shout out to Dr. Green. I see Dr. Shirley Green. I want to say a little bit of a story here. We were in Milwaukee. Milwaukee has a strong tradition of Montessori education. And when I received a job here in the city, it was very important to us that we continued our son's Montessori education, and in a public school, where there could be kids of all races, all classes, where it wasn't financially tied to how much a person made, but rather if you wanted to learn and wanted to learn in the Montessori way, which my wife discussed a little bit about the Montessori way. In Milwaukee, at that school, my son came out of it curious and interested, and he paid attention, very important. He was highly motivated and loved learning. He developed a sense of order. He was able to regulate his emotions and relate to those of others. He had empathy and a sense of responsibility. He still has all these things, but it's slightly eroded in the way it's been taught this year in this school. He's independent and confident. And by eroded, I simply don't, there's great teachers at the Montessori Academy School, and we love it. The fear that we have is that there's more testing going on at that school, or just throughout the district. And we think that that hurts many children, and particularly at age 5 when they're getting tested for things. And it's not necessarily great for their motivation as students. We've had, on a couple occasions this year, our son didn't want to go to school. And that is something that we have never experienced, in the 5 years he's been with us. He's never had that kind of experience. So we just wanted to say, shout out to the wonderful work that Montessori Academy does do and represents as a public Montessori in this school, in this district, but also in the hopes that, like my wife said, that maybe it could be a hub for Montessori education as a citywide public institution that could train the teachers who could go into the classrooms and teach the children in Montessori methods, which have been proven to succeed. The superintendent has recognized that pathway schools like World of Inquiry and SOTA and IB programs are immensely valuable. They offer a solid education to keep parents in the city, attract students to RCSD, not to charters that drain the budget, and Montessori should be one of them. And I'm going to leave it at that. We are very happy to be in this district and want to remain in this district and want to make sure that other children can benefit and other parents can benefit from the ways of Montessori. So thank you. Just in time.
John Lightfoot.
You let me know when I get 2-minute mark or something? So no.
Get 3.
No, he wants to know when he gets to 2 minutes.
Thank you very much to be here. My name is John Lightfoot. I am a legislator for the County of Monroe. I feel a little awkward, or it seemed like my issue isn't so strong after the young men got up here. It rattled me and brought some tears. It's good to see our young men trying. So, oh God.
Take your time.
So, I want to talk about local diplomacy in our community. Some time ago, the Board of Regents took away our local diplomas and made us all, or introduced the Board of Regents diploma. It was a way of a better education, as the product, I call it, was sales pitched to our community. But that product has failed us. They told us it would be better for us as we went into college, but it's been hindering us. It's been taking away hope from our community. And this Regents diploma is a one all for nothing. If you don't earn it, you walk away with nothing. I'm a graduate. I was in the Regents track diplomas, and I failed the class at the end of the year. I mean, it was chemistry. I really didn't care. But it had an impact. I didn't know. And so I didn't qualify for the Regents, but luckily for me, I was able to fall back onto a local diploma. That local diploma opened the door for me to go to Monroe Community College. That afforded me St. John Fisher, and now I'm earning my master's, all because of my local diploma. The local diploma creates an opportunity for people to qualify for jobs, more than just McDonald's. They can qualify for municipal jobs as heavy laborers. They pay 13 to 16 bucks an hour. You work overtime, you're making $35,000, $40,000 a year. You have health care benefits. It's not just the city, it's not just the county, it's the town of Penfield and the town in Webster, where people can create opportunities or they can move to different areas. Another issue that has come up is that the local diplomas, we have now free college tuition. And people can come to move to New York State and now qualify for free college tuition. In fact, they'll be a better candidate because they have partially higher GPAs because they don't have Regents diplomas and they didn't have to qualify for that as well. So we're the only market that has this Regents diploma and is failing our children. So my son went to Wilson Magnet. He got through 12th grade and he kept failing his world history test. Luckily, he got through it on the last one, but, okay, thank you. Luckily, he got through on his last end, but just imagine if he would have walked away at 12 years with nothing. That takes away hope from our children. It takes away, it makes them feel like a sense of helplessness. And so it's a lot of stuff that you got to do to try to overcome. And it hinges on the outskirts of what we call structural violence. This system that has put together is giving my community nothing. And I'm really offended by the Board of Regents telling us that we cannot have a local diploma. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people who are educated here in this institution that have doctorate degree and so forth, that are qualified to be able to devise a curriculum, more educated than those who are coming up with these rules, to be quite honest with you. And so I'm asking the board to support me in a letter. The county has done it, 1,529 legislators, and I'm asking for your support so we can send a message to the Board of Regents. Thank you so much.
Valerie Johnson. To be followed by Bernice Malcolm.
Unfortunately, I am here again at a time when my board has elected to listen to an argument to try to fill the Charlotte High School campus with another high-achieving program that needs to have its own space. The same tenets from the argument for the last time that I was here, which is when the Boys Academy was being pushed into that program under a different superintendent, are the same issues again. I sent a document. I don't know if you all received it. Hopefully, if you didn't, those who did can share with you. But there's some real critical issues in my talking with and speaking with students and parents at Early College, International High School, that I think are laid out in the document that was sent to you guys. One of the biggest issues is that the premise for moving them out of Wilson Foundation is a spacing issue, and that's not true. It's not true. The facilities plan never listed Early College as leaving the site, and the facilities plan shows that the number of students projected to enroll in Wilson next year is 592, and Early College is 429. Both of those numbers are well below the operational capacity of 836 and 516, respectively. The projected enrollment numbers were taken from the current superintendent's draft of the budget for 2017-2018. There's been numerous conversations that have been at the level of the administrators, chiefs from downtown, and yet the parents and the students have not been heard. at that level through the school-based planning team process? How can we strengthen the school-based planning team process if you all know that there are issues that come before you and you don't even ask, where were the parents and the students on your school-based planning team, and when did they come to consensus to even discuss this issue and present a position? They shouldn't have to come down here last month and this month to talk to you about something that you should automatically be doing because that's the process in place for shared decision-making. I went through the school-based planning team minutes myself just to see if there had been any discussion around this move. There had not been, and this is clearly impacting instruction in many, many, many different ways, and yet no one asked, where are the school-based planning team minutes, and where was the discussion, and where was the consensus? I'm also concerned that district staff has misled the stakeholders in the need for the rooms. 1 minute, one principal said they needed 4, then they said they needed none, then they needed 8, then there was a meeting where the principals and Amy Shiabi met, and Tim Clivey was emailed in, and Adam Urbanski was emailed in, and there was an agreement that was made, and then the agreement was reneged upon. And all this without parents or students, who are the ones that are most affected by this. They are the ones that chose this school for the way that the school is designed. I've also included the actual original document from 2011 that put the school together with a SMART Scholars Grant is included, all the partners are included, the memorandums of agreement, the memorandums of understanding, it's all laid out. And yet in all of the discussions, the quasi-meetings that have taken place, I have yet to hear from this date back to Broussard where the Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning has been involved. This is a school that is designed around a specific curriculum where teaching and learning has to be a part of the discussion. You cannot base the decision on a $1 billion facilities modernization plan just to be moving people around. These are our kids, AKA students to you all, but they are our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Bernice Malcolm. Bernice Malcolm will be followed by Eric Meister.
Good evening. I get to follow that, huh? That's awesome. Thank you. My name is Master Sergeant Meister. I'm a JROTC instructor at the Leadership Academy for Young Men. First thing I want to say is, was that amazing to have kids come up from a high school and recite their creed by heart? By heart. And that's just a small little appetizer of what that school has. I mean, I don't know. I've been to 4 different schools while we've been traveling with Leadership Academy. That was amazing. That wasn't even prompt. We didn't even teach them to do that because they're leaders, and it's a Leadership Academy for young men. Who? All right, first thing I want to talk about is the fact that I'm a business major. That's what I went to school for, and graduating students has become my business. That's what we're there for, to get these kids to graduate in 4 years or less. That's what we want to do. Who? So I don't feel like this is a good business decision. I don't see scholars coming in, I don't know teachers, I don't see this having a great wow moment when it's over with. I see another hurdle for these kids to have to do to get to that end result. I don't see how this benefits them at all. Now we're bringing in a population of girls. By the way, isn't it amazing that some young men said they don't want girls in school, okay? Because in the first couple of years, we were dealing with that nonstop. I don't want to be here because there's no girls here, no girls. I don't hear that anymore. We've conquered that. This train is moving forward. We are strong. It takes an average of 6 to 7 years for a business to make a profit. We are in the profit time. Now is when you're going to see some results. We're bringing a population of girls in, by the way, that is going to be 1/10 of the school population. So there's going to be, 100 girls there and 900 boys. I don't know if that is very advantageous either. Logistically, trying to move 100 girls, we would be better off having 500 girls. For locker rooms, bathrooms, sporting events. Hearing that knock at the door as a teacher, finding out that it's a girl outside my door that wants to talk to Daquan Hilton. Oh, no offense, Daquan, okay? He's an attractive guy. They're going to want to talk to him. and I'm going to have to find another way to divert them away. As a teacher, when we had Charlotte in the school, the students from Charlotte, they were good students. They had some problems, as we do too, but they knew I had no authority over them. So when I saw them in the hallway, I didn't know their name. I didn't know who they were. And they knew that I couldn't contact their administrator and say, so-and-so with a red hood. You know, they know it doesn't happen. Now, the students that are a part of our school, they are held to that standard of that creed that they wrote. They wrote that. That's their creed. They know it. They read it, they say it, they believe it. They really do believe in their brotherhood. And I want that machine to continue to roll. I don't know what the answer is, but bringing early college is not that answer. Thank you much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, that concludes our list of speakers. We will next move on to our superintendent reports. I ask Dr. Nelms to take the mic, and as he does that, I want to just remind folks that you may on occasion see members of the Board of Education look down at their smartphones, these little monitors that we have. We might be taking notes, and I want my colleagues and those who are watching on television to know it's not like we're not interested. Actually, we use these devices to communicate in real time. Sometimes we handle each other little squibbly notes, but often we use these. So I just want to remind folks, it's not a matter of people not paying attention. Actually, quite often what it reflects is we're paying close attention. We want to make sure that colleagues out there that might be able to assist us in gathering information can get that information. Dr. Nelms?
Good evening, commissioners, community, and students. I just want to take this evening to thank the Board of Education once again for their continued support for the East Project, but more importantly for the entire RCSD team. I think Van just said it best, that there are oftentimes that they're processing information and thinking about the next steps. And every member of this board has challenged and pushed myself and Superintendent Williams to do what's best for kids. And I have the utmost faith and respect in them and knowing that we will get to a solution at some point for all these various issues that we face. But I also want to take the opportunity to say that it has been a very long year for all of us, particularly at East. But there are a ton of bright spots that I want to acknowledge tonight because we often don't give teachers and staff and students their just due. So I want to start by thanking our entire staff at East for getting through year 2 and addressing the various issues and opportunities that we face. And we have a list of teachers there that have been honored this year formally, internally and externally. Logan Newman, who leads our Vision Optics program. I think you've heard a ton about him, but there are others in this building as well. Chris Fields and Logan Newman and Dan and Laura Delahante were recognized by the RTA, as well as Caitlin Adams as one of our new teacher interns of the year. And I want to really thank them for all their dedication and all the teachers who supported their growth. Next, I want to thank the parents. I often get, the first question I get at most of the public events is, what about the parents? And people often characterize parents as not being involved. I think we heard that tonight, that parents are definitely involved and knowledgeable about what's happening in their schools. And our parents have really turned it around, did a complete 180 around their involvement. At the lower school, which is grades 6 through 8, about 55% of our students have attended at least one event. That is remarkable in that the year we came, we had one teacher on our PTA, one parent on our PTA. And at the upper school, which is grades 9 through 12, that number is around 30%. And so I am extremely proud to say that parents are involved in the decision-making that's happening, and parents, like staff, often don't get their just credit. And I'm very proud of our parent and our FACE committee, which is our Family and Community Engagement Committee, for organizing many events to engage parents in different ways so we can truly have input from all the various stakeholder groups. I want to also thank the board and the community members, and many of you are in the audience today, for supporting the resolution that was passed last month to create a partnership between School 33 and East. I am very happy that Barbara Dean Williams and her staff has already reached out about what do we do next to make this work for everyone involved. And so it's not a distraction, it's a value add to the community, it's a value add to the district, and it's a value add to all students seeking a quality school setting. And that took a lot of work. It wasn't, even those who may have opposed it gave us really critical feedback around what we should do next, and I appreciate that. And I want to let you know there's a lot of private conversations about this partnership, and those who support or didn't support really, they all supported the idea of giving kids quality choices. And again, we may not always agree on certain things, but this school board truly asked the thoughtful questions that garner our decisions. I want to take the time to thank the University of Rochester for bringing Dr. Pedro Noguera, a professor from UCLA, who came and spoke to the community on Thursday night and then to our staff on Friday morning. Many of the board members were present for that, and a ton of community members and parents were also there. And he talked about the issues of equity and really disrupting the system as a whole. And it's going to take courageous conversations and courageous efforts in order to change things. And I think tonight's Residents Forum was an example of that. That we have a lot of courageous individuals who want to be heard and impact change. But I want to also say there's a ton of courageous leaders within the district and all of our schools that constantly push and challenge the norm. And I think together we can create an RCSD that is truly reflective of the needs of the community. I also want to thank many of our community funders. We started a campaign called the Equity and Access and Opportunities. And it was started based on my own experience with my child. My child played basketball for travel, and in my spare time, I was a coach. We did go undefeated most of the season. But there were two young ladies who attended East, and they wanted to play on the travel team. And travel team is about $400 for the summer. And they had some financial hardship, and so we had two people sponsor the event. One person was my wife, who always says, make sure you give me the credit for that. It wasn't my money, it was hers. She sponsored one child, and then another person from New York City sponsored another. And it wasn't the basketball that was important. It was when we traveled across the state to play in tournaments. And the last tournament we played in was in Geneva. I'm sorry, it was near Geneva. And during one of the tournaments, we had about a 4-hour break. Anyone who's coached basketball or soccer, volleyball, they have these god-awful breaks in between games. And we chose to go to a goat farm because it was close, and I needed some goat cheese. I like goat cheese. And we went, and we had the kids sample goat cheese, and we had the kids milk goats. And what we realized is that opportunity for not just the kids at East, but the kids who on my team that were from Henrietta and Pittsford and Greece and Penfield, was that for the first time, those kids interacted with one another in meaningful ways. And it was in that moment I said, if I can give the most basic opportunities to kids, travel sports, art camp, going to the MAG, and taking advantage of all that Monroe County has to offer, then every single kid in East and throughout the city should have that. And so there were a ton of foundations and trustees from the University of Rochester and people from all over the place who supported our kids in many different ways. And this is just a small sample of some of the partners who supported East, not just financially, but by volunteering as tutors, coming up and cleaning up the campus. We had one person who I had no idea who it was, who saw something on Twitter, send a golf bag from California to East so that kids could have enough golf clubs to play in a new sport. And so I just want to say that this community is really giving. And they're giving when we have a plan to address those fundamental needs that our kids have. And I want to thank the community and many of those in the audience today for making East a place where kids get opportunities beyond the fundamentals of math, science, social studies, and English. And again, as we enter year 3, there's a lot of work to do. The work continues this summer where we have a ton of staff participating in professional development and making sure that we are responsive to the needs of our kids. We're moving in the right direction, and it truly takes a community effort to do this. And I thank you all, and I thank the board for your continued support.
Thank you, Dr. Nelms. Any questions for Sean? Comments? All right, we're good. Thank you. Next, we have Barbara Dean Williams. Barbara?
Thank you. First, because she was not able to receive this at the last board meeting, I would like to recognize Vice President Cynthia Elliott for her Lifetime Achievement Award from the New York. Oh my Board of Education.
I do a lot of training for this job that I got here, so that's what this is for, to learn how to do this job far more effectively. You really have to understand this whole educational lease if you're going to be effective in it. And so I'm nowhere near I'm supposed to be, and I've been here 12 years. I still need 100 more years to really learn this district, but I believe this is from NYSBA, the New York State School Board Association. Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you. I'm going to start my update today by talking about our most recent time with our City Council for a hearing for the budget. So I want to thank President Loretta Scott, Chairwoman Carolee Conklin, and all of the City of Rochester Council members for holding the hearing on the district proposed budget yesterday. I'm grateful for the lively discussion and the opportunity to share details on the proposed budget and some of the investments that we have made this year in increasing our focus on our advanced placement, higher level learning, extended school day, and community schools. We do have a school budget brochure which highlights the many reinvestments which we were able to realize as a result of some reductions and redeployment of staff from administrative positions to teaching positions in our schools. As you know, last summer we secured a nationally recognized consultant, Dr. Judy Elliott, to provide a review on the current status of our special education services for children and to give us an update on the research, and there has been a significant amount of research previously done in the district. Dr. Elliott reviewed the work that had been done previously, met with many stakeholders, asked a lot of questions, and dug deep. She was able to report on the many systemic issues which we will begin to address through a plan which will be presented to the Board of Education on July 13th. We have many people working to focus squarely on improving our programs and service for our children, which includes our partnership with the NYU Steinhardt Metropolitan Center for Research and Equity in the Transformation of Schools. This is going to be very messy and hard work, but the time to do it is now. So I'd like to thank President White, members of the Community Task Force, and other community partners, our labor leaders, principals, teachers, and parents, students for joining us today at our first convening. We got to spend the morning with a wonderfully diverse group of community leaders as we discussed disproportionality and more squarely focused on race, equity, and social justice with our partners from the Metropolitan Center. We look forward to this partnership in addition to the many partnerships that will help this district focus squarely on the design of a 5-year model to transform our collective actions in serving students with disabilities. We need to disrupt the system. We need to take courageous actions, and that work has begun and will intensify. This was a very busy month as we look to deepen and strengthen our partnerships across the city. We want to thank Jackie Campbell, Jennifer Leonard, and all of the partners and community agencies who are part of the Rock the Future conveners. The meeting last week was a great opportunity to reflect upon the collective work that has been accomplished this year, and we were able to request support for a pre-K3 work group that can bring the preschool providers and teachers together with our own K3 teachers as we seek to move that number of students that can achieve grade level proficiency for 3rd grade reading. We also this week met again with St. John Fisher College, specifically the Wegman School of Nursing, and we're pleased that Michael Wisnowski and Diane Cooney-Minor are working with us to create a whole child approach, including community health partnerships and trauma response models. They will begin working with one or more of our schools in the fall to intensify the whole child and community schools model. I also want to thank Jerome Underwood, Judge Nesser, and the many, many community partners and county and city agencies who are able to attend our newly expanded Key Leaders meeting. This work will now include secondary students and a focus on the school responder model in addition to the foundational work that's been done with our preschoolers and early elementary children. The past week, we had over 30 representatives attend the meeting, and we have agreed again to address attendance K-12 and to review school by school data monthly and to spend the afternoons of those days meeting directly with school teams as they're working through their Every Student by Face and Name initiatives at the school level. Also at this time of year, this is the fun time of year. You know, this is the time we all wait to be able to recognize and celebrate our kids. And there's so many opportunities to do so, but I'll just mention a couple. Today, we were thrilled to host Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul at Clara Barton School 2. School 2 was one of 4 schools in New York State to receive books from Scholastic, so the children were able to select their own book, but they are in the running, and they're going to work really hard to be #1 over the summer, as Lieutenant Governor Hochul promised to return with a special award or recognition. So in her role as the Scholastic Reading Ambassador, the Lieutenant Governor was able to provide the 150 books, and we appreciate her support as well as that of our Mayor Lovely Warren, who was present as well, and the students were just thrilled to have the opportunity to meet both of them. So we want to thank Principal Rutland and her team for supporting this work. I also want to recognize on Monday evening, it was an absolute honor to join RTA President Adam Urbanski, Stefan Cohen, who's the CIT teacher director, and all of the district's lead teachers and mentors, and honoring the 2016-17 career and teaching interns. Sean mentioned this as well. This is a long-standing and significant program supporting our new teachers. The goal is to strengthen induction, instruction, and teacher retention through peer assistance and review. There were 376 new teachers who got support this year, and these 12 interns were selected for their outstanding efforts on behalf of students. They were nominated, and many principals and their families were there, and Robin DeWind and the Rochester Teachers Association created a video that allowed us to take a peek at each of them in their classrooms working with their students. So they are an outstanding group of young teachers and really represented the very best, and I have great hopes for the future for their commitment to our children and our families. Also, I had this week an opportunity to attend the Black Scholars Recognition event. This is an annual event that really does allow us to provide our recognition for very, very, very talented students. So I want to thank President White and Commissioner Elliott for attending the Urban League 38th Annual Salute to Black Scholars.
Commissioner Hallmark as well.
And I'm sorry, Commissioner Hallmark, who I did not see, but I will apologize for that. And thank you as well. So we know that these are students that are recognized as scholars for maintaining a consistent B or better cumulative point average throughout their 4 years. And of the 531 students who were selected for the recognition, 148 were from Rochester, so that was great. I also want to thank Commissioner Hallmark, Principal Harris Pappin, Chief Burrell Moore, and the staff and families of the Martin B. Anderson School Number 1. We had a closing celebration which was extremely warm and positive. There were many alumni, neighbors, staff, parents, and students who really enjoyed some moments to reflect on their time at School 1, what they represent as a School 1 proud family, and what they can bring and add now to their new school community. So I appreciate everyone for a really, really significant way to recognize, celebrate, thank, and praise that school for what they've been able to accomplish this year under some very difficult circumstances. I was able to join Chief Mazidi Miller for the end of the year exhibit of the Junior Lego League and First Lego League. And I want to thank Tanya Homer for inviting me. I was able to meet her students earlier this year. She was featured in an RTA video, again, for her work with students and celebrating their culture and heritage. So she had many coaches, families, parents, and community partners. They were all celebrating the exceptional work of these young teams. And the students, especially the students in number 52, really developed and were able to demonstrate their skill sets that they had learned in their math and engineering throughout the year. Congratulations to the 2 First Lego League teams from 52 who qualified earlier this year, actually to participate in the regional competition. I also want to take just a moment to thank Harry Kennedy and Maurice Snipe for inviting me to join them last Sunday at the Memorial AME Zion Church, the oldest African-American church in Rochester. Eva's coming up because Eva was the speaker representing the C.I. Bullock Scholarship, where 6 students and their families were recognized as they received scholarships. Eva presented an amazing and inspirational talk about her experience, her background, her history, what the scholarship meant to her in 1985. sorry, to support her education at Delaware State College. And as you may know, Ms. Thomas and many others in our district attended Delaware State, and there's a really cool story behind that. So for those of you who don't know, I asked her to come up and tell us why there was a bus that used to have to go to Delaware State to bring you all back for the holidays.
Yes, Mr. James Prettyman unfortunately passed away on April 27th of 2010. However, he attended Delaware State and graduated in 1969 with his business administration degree, and then he went on here at Kodak to work here for many years. Over the span of the 25 years, Mr. Prettyman received many awards from Memorial AME Zion Church, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Delaware State College, Rush Henrietta, the Rochester City School District, the Ralph Bunn Scholarship Fund for his outstanding citizenship and commitment to education. His goal was to encourage the youth in this area to achieve anything in life, and he was an avid fan of Delaware State College, and he would take buses down every year. And I happened to be on one of those buses and had a wonderful experience. I was a campus queen. I played volleyball and was on a championship team, honor roll student. And I would like to share this platform with Dr. Shirley Green, who was also one of his recruits. I don't know if you knew that, but she was also one of his recruits on those buses. So he would take about 40 kids down for freshman week. We stayed for a week and experienced the campus, and he is dearly missed everywhere he went. He talked about Delaware State College. I also was a part of the gospel choir, so it was a wonderful and enriching experience for me. Memorial AME Zion was the church that I grew up in, so I will never forget the Zionites, and Maurice can tell you he is a member there. So it was a pleasure for him to be a part of my life and to mentor Shirley and I to the success that we have today. Thank you for allowing me to share.
And thank you for sharing that. That resonated with me as I think about all of the opportunities that we have to introduce our students and scholars here to college opportunities and to encourage them to become familiar with what is available, and just thinking about what we might see and hear 10, 15, 20 years from now as we grow more and more of our graduates to return back to contribute to our city schools and our community. So the last thing is in the next 2 weeks, I know Sean and the entire board, many of you and I look forward to celebrating the hard work and achievements of our graduating seniors. Graduation is a really exciting time because it's both an ending and a beginning. And so we have a schedule of the graduation dates, times, and locations. They're all available on the website. But I this year want to thank our Board of Education and Mayor Lovely Warren for recognizing the district's valedictorians and salutatorians in a center spread ad that will run June 21st in the city newspaper. So I want you to join me in congratulating the seniors on their recognition. And thank you to those who recognized that this was something that had not been accomplished or consistently done, and making sure that Rochester City stands with their proud graduates and that our students are recognized for the work and their contributions and their scholarship. So now we have two chiefs that are going to speak tonight briefly. I'm going to first ask Chief Amy Shabby if she would provide an update on our plan for sharing space for our schools.
Good evening, and thank you. To members of the Board of Education, thank you for this opportunity, and to the members in the audience. I want to begin this evening, first of all, by honoring to the students, and I see some of the young men in the back this evening that spoke, to the families, to faculty, and to our community at large for the many voices that have been shared over the last year. And I'm going to say the last year because it has been a journey. I also want to recognize the number of hours that have been spent, hundreds of hours, in thoughtful consideration of listening, heartfelt, in a learning and a design process. This is not easy. It is highly emotional because we're talking about people and we're talking about children. I also want to share with you that we have heard through various conversations with a parent meeting that was held on June 5th, and thank you to the parents that came out. I've heard from many students, whether it be individual conversations or conversations in the cafeteria, from faculty, whether it be engaged in classrooms, in hallway discussions, or even when I'm out in the various community forums. Very heartfelt and very passionately about locations of schools. So again, I cannot emphasize enough, this work is complex, it's emotional, and it's evolving. With that being said, the initial problem that came to our attention was there was not enough space to support the continued grow out of the Wilson Foundation and Rochester Early College to co-locate on the former James Madison campus. I will share with you that we have and want to bring forward a recommendation for the 17-18 school year. And that is this, that the Rochester Early College International High School and the Wilson Foundation Academy remain co-located on the same campus for the 17-18 school year. In addition to that, the Wilson Foundation Academy assumes 8 classrooms on the 3rd floor in the South Corridor, and the Rochester Early College International High School maintains 12 classrooms on the North Corridor. In addition to that, the Rochester Early College International High School 9th and 10th grade students remain on the current campus, and the 11th and 12th grade students would be located on the State Street Monroe Community College campus, which honors our students as early college graduates. The rationale for that is this. Since September of 2015, there have been multiple meetings engaging multiple faculty, staff, parents, and children in design thinking. The many things that we heard were this: don't close our school, recommend a decision that supports the best instructional program decision for the students on the Wilson Foundation campus, bring a recommendation forward that has the least negative impact to students, and keep students as close to the MCC campus as possible, if not on the MCC campus. So ladies and gentlemen of the board, on the back you will see, and to those that are out here in the audience this evening, we have put together a very strict adherence to some internal controls that must take place to ensure that what we have recommended needs to be in place. So there is an instructional plan. I'll just review very quickly. A recommendation for 9th grade cohort that is consistent with the early college model and done in collaboration with Monroe Community College. That includes the master scheduling for early college, and it must be done with design in conjunction with MCC and done for each semester. Every Rochester Early College student will have a 4-year plan that includes a pathway to earning college credits beginning in his or her junior year. Placement and accountability. 9th grade cohort continue to enroll to 75 students. Placement must put in writing procedural practices and ensures that procedures are communicated and executed by members within placement. Standing agenda item at cabinet, real-time data regarding enrollment. Wilson Foundation Academy will be a 2-strand school while the schools are co-located for kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grades. Wilson Foundation Academy 7th grade will continue to enroll at 125 students, and we will work with specialized services on placement. For facilities and operations, meetings with staff with a timeline for moves. Facilities will need to pack and move all necessary instructional materials for both schools, schedule necessary meetings with MCC. Human capital will work with HCI on staffing logistics. And lastly, and the most important piece as we move forward, as we go forward, decisions concerning the status of these and any other of our schools will be made following the completion of the comprehensive study of facilities in alignment with our academic vision and instructional needs that is about to begin.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Now, I know we have another report, but before we move on to that
Sure.
report, I wanted to make sure my colleagues didn't have any questions. And I first want to begin with a comment. This proposal, if you will, would not require board approval because we're not changing the schools.
Correct.
But surely my colleagues are entitled and may in fact choose to articulate to the superintendent today or tomorrow any observations, because they just got this plan. But I just want to offer, for what it's worth, this is my own individual comment. I was sort of privy to some of the inside conversations, and this was not an easy thing for Barbara, for you and your staff to do. And just from that perspective, I want to say job well done, because my biggest concern, I articulated this to some of my colleagues, that I felt like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. I thought we were going to go through that same thing we went through with 1 in 15, parents complaining about nobody contacted them and changing schools around and kicking kids out. And that's not a good conversation, whether that's the reality or the perception. And you guys got on that, and I think my assessment is, and again, I've had a little bit longer opportunity to sort of digest this stuff than my colleagues, but I think you all have done an exceptional job in avoiding what we went through several months ago. And I want you to know that I appreciate that. And I can't speak for my colleagues because they just got this, but it's quite impressive what you guys have averted, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Anybody else, questions or comments? Commissioner Adams?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the enrollment. It says that there will be 75 freshmen, 9th graders enrolled. The budget projections, which I appreciated Ms. Johnson's email, and I actually spurred me to go and verify that data and get further data about enrollment projections and capacities of specific buildings. The total enrollment projected in our budget that we just approved was 429 for early college. So is that number still being preserved, and will there be at least 75 9th graders?
So there will be 75 9th graders there, and when we looked at the projected enrollment versus how many students step foot on the campus, those are two very different numbers, because you have students that are...
I just want to stick with projected numbers in the budget and what the current projection is. Has there been a deviation from the projection in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me what that is?
So what we have for next year, 75 for 9th grade. And then what we have right now, 9 go 10, is 107.
10 go 11?
73.
And 11 go 12?
61.
Okay, so what is that, 11? That's significantly lower than that 429 projection, I think.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, so that's a concern. And I want to also just go through the data that I did verify and the further data that I got so that we can understand. And I do also very much appreciate the conclusion and the recommendation that's been made clearly tonight. I think it's a good decision. At the same time, our community deserves to not have gone through the stress and turmoil and harebrained proposals that were made, in my opinion, harebrained proposals, harmful proposals that were made. And all of the, $100,000 salaries that were occupied with this problem. I don't think this problem was necessary. And let me say why. So in the Facilities Modernization Plan, which is on the books and approved, we the board, approved this plan in March of 2016, and then it was updated by the Joint Constructions Board on April 28th, 2016. In that document, the Wilson Foundation capacity, specifically for pre-K or K through 8 is listed as the planned operating capacity is 836 students. Again, for the K through 8 Wilson Foundation population. The planned capacity, the planned operating capacity for Wilson, for early college on that same campus is 516. That's the planned operating capacity for that building, for a total of 1,352, which sounds unreasonable to me. It sounds like that's too large of a number for operating capacity. So I went back and I tracked back to our other facilities documents historically, and in fact, it's true that it's always been more than 1,000. Back in 2011 and 12, the actual capacity was 646, but the operational capacity was listed as 1,114. So currently, the projected enrollment for Wilson Foundation for that capacity of 836 in the budget was 592. So that leaves 244 fewer than our capacity in Wilson Foundation in the K through 8 population. And for early college, the gap between the operating capacity of 516 and the projected enrollment according to the budget, which we just had City Council adopt last night, is 87 fewer than capacity. In other words, if we kept the buildings co-located with no change based on our budgeted projected enrollment, we would have a gap of 331 fewer than the capacity of that building on Genesee Street, the Wilson Foundation building. So I bet there are issues. I bet you that that capacity is actually unreasonable, that it really should be a lower number. But again, going back, it's consistent over the years, that operating capacity. It also has been split. It went from 1 year in the facilities documents from just listing K through 8 and 9 through 12 to breaking it down into subcategories of K through 6 and then 7 through 12 seats. So someone clearly worked these numbers and differentiated them by grade so that they're not in error. So what we have here is a created problem, a created capacity problem, and it really is problematic that this much salary, this much attention, this much community stress, student stress was outlaid in this problem. So I'm glad about the decision now, although I'm skeptical about the significantly reduced enrollment from what we just budgeted. I think that's a problem, and I would really like us to relook at that. This is a promising program. It needs support. Obviously, there's community support. We heard all the arguments, which I very much appreciate. But I'm also skeptical reading all of this about the need to have many Wilson Foundation rooms be moved into the third floor, given these numbers. I'm glad with the decision ultimately, but if early college is being cramped, because of this, I think, I really want the community to know these numbers, because these numbers are clear. They're very clear, they're consistent historically, and there's a huge margin, 366. Or 331, because I also ran the numbers for Charlotte, and I won't go through them all, but it actually, if we had moved to Charlotte, we would have actually exceeded the capacity. Running through these same numbers, the projected enrollment numbers, the capacity of Charlotte, the capacity of leadership, we would have actually exceeded significantly the capacity of Charlotte.
So,
Go ahead.
So thank you, and just a couple of things. One thing that we need to just take into consideration is some of our specialized services and the need for various classrooms, and I'm sure you do. And I'm not saying it, okay, and I'm saying it in a very thoughtful way. The second thing is that when we looked at the various numbers of our students and the enrollment, the one thing that we took very much into consideration was, again, you have students enrolled in a school and they're on that school enrollment. They may be enrolled at Rochester Early College, but they may also be enrolled at RIA. So they will come back to the school, but that doesn't mean that they're physically on the school at that time. So that is why I say to you, this is much more complex than looking and saying, you know, the school's enrollment is 429, but they may not all be on the campus. So why I say to you this is making sure that when we are presenting data about students that are physically located on a campus and how many students do we need to have, how many classrooms do we need to have, yes, it's one thing about the number, but there may be very different numbers of classrooms that are needed for very specialized services, and I know you get that. I'm not trying to minimize that, but what I will say is that there were very different numbers based on a facility, operational, and I know you can appreciate this, versus the instructional needs of our students. And so I'm going to tell you, it was student by student through this, and yes, it is very time consuming, but I will tell you, the numbers here now reflect the needs of students in a very methodical way. And I will definitely say to you, that was a need that needed to happen. So I honor and I stand before you that the angst of creating that for people was not to not honor the work. But this must be accurate so that we can project the best instructional programs for our students. And that needed to happen.
Any other questions?
I just want to say, I appreciate the fact of the special education classroom.
And I'm not just saying special ed, but I hear you, yes.
So I again took that into account, and again, the margin is in the hundreds. But your point about the projected enrollment number actually being inflated because many of the students within, for example, that 429 might be located at RIA, that actually would argue for a larger total enrollment number to account for the less that are actually physically there. Just putting that on the table.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm not disagreeing.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Well, let me just work our way down. Vice President Alley, go ahead.
Yes. I'm seeing that you're recommending that the students be located on the State Street Monroe Community College campus.
Yes.
My concern is that we don't have a memorandum of agreement that this is going to happen. And to have that to be recommended without there being conversation with Monroe Community College, because I don't want us to just put this information out here just to appease these folk tonight, and then they end up coming back at us, next year. And so, in my opinion, this should not be as a recommendation. Because if we don't have at least some kind of temporary agreement, some kind of informal agreement, and then to make it formal, it would seem to me that recommendation is not a valid recommendation, and that it should not be here. Now, I don't have a problem, and we'll support if we move there, but it just seems to me that at this point, I don't know if there's been any discussion around that, because see, we were here, we trusted as a board that the district was doing, and this is prior to the current superintendent, but we trusted that the district was in negotiations with MCC, and that our campus, our early college high school, would be on the MCC campus. And now we're finding out there had been very little discussion and plans to move that out. And in fact, I'm told that the president of the college, was not really informed about that. So I'm tired of being embarrassed. I just need to put that out there. I'm tired of being embarrassed, that we are trusting in what the district is telling us. I remember getting a call about the conversations about the potential move from early college to the Charlotte campus, and I said to the person that called me, you got to make sure you're talking to the people. You got to make sure obviously that didn't happen in a way that it should have, because we would not be here now. So, and it's embarrassing. I just put it out there. It's totally embarrassing for us, because we're looking at the ones that will have to ultimately make the decision, and it just was not this. In my opinion, we could have done a better job in communicating with the community. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Powell, I know you were.
I want to react to the issue that Dr. Schiave raised about dual enrollment between the International Academy and, is that right, International Academy and the Rochester International Early College. I kind of wish you hadn't brought that into the conversation because that raises a bunch of questions about how we do dual enrollment. And whether all of our international students are channeled into any one particular school after they essentially graduate from the International Academy, which could amount to a kind of dumping, or certainly if the high school isn't fully prepared to receive those students after they've accelerated out, I don't want to say graduated because they're not graduating, but accelerated out of the international program. I think at some point in some forum, we're going to have a conversation about what does the dual enrollment look like, whether it's international students and regular high school, whether it's alternates, the alternative schools and alternative programs like the Interim Health Academy and their sponsoring or their original high schools from which they came before they were dual enrolled. I'm pretty sure this board, certainly I, have a limited understanding of how dual enrollments occur and how those students are counted. And I'm also concerned about how invested the various principals are who own these students but don't see them, whose physical presence is not in their building. And I've always had a concern that those students are like ghosts to the principals who own them and don't get any more attention than a ghost. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Hallmark?
Yeah, just a short comment. I want to say the same thing what Commissioner Elliott brought up about. I'd like to see the memorandum of agreement. This is mentioned specialized services on placement. I would want to hear about specialized services available to our students, safety and responsibility around that, and counseling support.
Sure.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right.
And good job. I'm happy with this decision, actually.
Any other questions or comments? We're good? All right, thank you, Dr. Schiave.
Thank you.
Beth, I think what's going to go next?
Yes, so I think Beth is going to go next and talk about an update on the neighborhood-based enrollment strategy for one of our receivership schools, number 17.
Great, good evening. I'm going to give a little context to the resolution about the neighborhood-based enrollment strategy for the district at school number 17, and you have the PowerPoint in front of you as well. So I want to give a little context and some background. I know many of you were involved with community schools' effort over the past 18 months. But community schools is a strategy, not a model, to improve student outcomes and student performance. So it is a set of partnerships and organizing resources that really help move a community. So in here you'll see that the child is nested by the family in the community to make it work for the entire school environment as well. So there are three pieces that are triangulated to make it work if it's integrated well, is the core instructional program, expanded learning opportunities, and a comprehensive set of support services. So the next thing is the critical elements of community schools that we know nationally is occurring, that there's strong curriculum instruction, that there's robust and meaningful parent engagement that is in a model of collaborative leadership and decision-making. There's available health and mental health services and a multi-tiered systems of support surrounding social and emotional learning, positive school climate and youth development, expanded learning opportunities that the district has been engaged in over the past several years, human and social services that make sure that barriers are taken away for children and families to be successful, and adult education and workforce opportunities to help the family be successful. So, what are we doing in the district? What are we doing locally to make this work happen and emerging in our community schools and our CSD? So we have a community school coordinator at each school. We've built a professional learning network for principals and site coordinators to build their own capacity and share ideas. We've allowed for space and time to establish trusted relationships and build a culture and understand what are the things organically that need to occur at every school. To build expanded learning opportunities as a model for community partnership and wraparound services, and building structures for these partnerships, which leads us to creating the Director of Community Schools moving into the next school year. So, to dig a little deeper about School 17. School 17 is challenged. It is a school in receivership. It is a persistently dangerous school. However, they are led by Katerina Leone Menino, who's doing a fabulous job along with the entire community to make a difference at School 17. So at 17, they're nested in the Josana neighborhood that is a vibrant and active community trying to make a difference there. Presently, the Josana neighborhood has a master plan which calls for a neighborhood-based enrollment strategy as one of the ways to turn around that community and improve student achievement in their school at 17. And 17 would be a hub of that environment. On the PowerPoint, you'll also see some important stakeholders in that community already, including Coordinated Care Services, the City of Rochester, our mayor, and Farish Foundation is here with us tonight, who's been a supporter and really leading the way at number 17 as one of our pioneers in the work. The next slide you'll see is the geocode area for the catchment area for School 17. As we put forward the plan, we'll dig deeper, but I wanted to give you context of where it is in the catchment area when they define the neighborhood school, if you will. So some high-level data just to get us started as we're working on the plan moving forward, which we've recommended in the resolution will be July 27th, which will give us time to work with our stakeholders, is currently School 17 serves about School 17 has 22% of its students that live in that neighborhood area. And what's of significance is it has improved over time from approximately 16% over the past couple years, which is testament to the work that they're doing. And what's important there is it's showing up in the primary grades. And so that you can see that the families are starting to come into that community and see 17 as an important part of their life. Of the approximately 1,000 students enrolled or that live in that catchment area that I just showed, approximately 13% of that student body is at School 17. So as we move forward, some preliminary thinking that we were asked to do in coming here today for this resolution is we know that there is a larger district strategy around looking at the managed choice policy, and we're very aware of that and sensitive to it. At the same time, we want the strategy to move the school forward as a receivership school and be what it needs to be for the community. So we want to put out there that we want to maintain current students. We know that there was a question about would this disrupt or displace current students. No, it will not. We will work with every student by face and name and family to make sure that it's meeting their needs. At the same time, we're going to expand and accelerate recruitment and placement work. We're going to look for natural places for where students would enter, including pre-K, K, and the 7th grade. So we'll be able to invest in recruitment and personalize enrollment services and work with every student and family using a phase-in approach. We'll also be determining some of the factors around entering School 17, including residency, siblings, and program needs. Lastly, One of the things that we were asked to do, and we will do in the plan, are some fiscal implications. And right now, it's a factor, all of the students at School 17 are transported to the school. And lastly, as we move forward, as we said in the recommendation, we will be putting a plan and timeline together as of July 27th.
Okay.
And that's
I am going to take questions or comments from members of the board, but I take the privilege of offering some comments first. Of course, as you all know, this presentation relates to Resolution 859 in your packets. I will let you know in advance. I'm going to make a motion to table that resolution, since it's on the docket, to a date certain, June 27th. That would be next Tuesday. No. When we get to that part of the agenda, I'm going to make a motion to table to a specific date. That's what the rules require. And that date will be June 27th. To give you all an opportunity to, as board members, to look at the proposal, because this is the first time many of you have seen it. I think there was some distribution of it, but we modified it a bit. So I want you all to have some time to consider the proposal, the resolution, which is very specific. If you have any recommendations for changes or anything like that, you would have until the 27th of June, next Tuesday, to do that. We'll vote next Tuesday on it, and then the administration, will have until July 27th to come up with the recommendation to implement this plan. And it seems like they've already given it some careful thought and consideration. So, and the other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to, once again, like the last subject matter that we just dealt with, once again, I see good hard work being put in to address a challenge that I think many people have seen for quite some time. And in that regard, I want to thank the superintendent, of course, Beth, for your work. Also, as I've communicated to each and every one of you individually on this particular resolution, I've had actually detailed conversations with all of you about this resolution and that it was coming up. So I thank you for your indulgence in listening to me about those conversations. But the commissioner obviously has some viewpoints on this, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to hear those viewpoints. I've shared them with every one of my colleagues, but we have a job to do. And it is independent of what happens in Albany or any place beyond the city of Rochester's limits. So we're going to do that, and my colleagues will have the opportunity to do their due diligence between now and the 27th. And then, fairly, the administration will be given until another month and a half or so to complete its analysis. So, having said that, anybody else have any thoughts or concerns?
Yeah, Mr. President, let me just say, if it's going to be a neighborhood school, it's got to be neighborly. It has to be an open system within that community. And let me give you an example. We had one of our UPK children who was on that playground and needed to use the bathroom, and they wouldn't let her use the bathroom. So if we're going to have a neighborhood school, it's got to be neighborly. And that didn't happen. You know, there were all of these kinds of hoops for a 3-year-old to have to use the bathroom in that school. Thank you.
Any other, we want to start down this way? We'll start down this way.
Can I respond quickly?
Yes, sure.
Commissioner? It's just that I think through the process, we'll also be looking at, certainly a community school is looking at serving the community and the playground and the use of the building from 7 to 7 or however the community deems the schedule be appropriate.
Don't take a whole lot of meetings to let a little 3-year-old use the bathroom.
Exactly. And so we'll be defining what a community school is too, so that the community knows what it means to bring in all those services and make it happen, versus it just being the neighborhood catchment area, but how it works. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Elliott. And I'm piggybacking on this point that you just made, Beth. That's why it is very important that everybody, including this board, be given an opportunity to deliberate on this, because there are questions like that and other questions that will come up. So we're going to begin down here and work our way this way. Commissioner Powell?
Okay. Is it safe to assume that there's no definitive planning as yet around what the neighborhood is? I mean, in your presentation, you talked about this geocode.
Yes.
Geocode is a very specific term that references census tract. I don't know, and maybe you can tell me, is the Josana neighborhood the whole of that geocode? Because I cannot see kids crossing both the New York Central Railroad tracks and 490 and still calling them part of the neighborhood. I don't know where the boundary lines of Josana neighborhood are, but I don't see kids walking over railroad tracks and under 490. I don't see it happening. So I'm not sure why this presentation centers around a federal census tract, because I don't know that it's meaningful.
So I will say that part of the analysis, and I hear what you're saying about the geocode and the catchment area and how they're all defined, I think that will be part of our, I know it will be part of our analysis in the next 6 weeks about how the district is defining it, what the different definitions of this geocode area are, and just the Josana neighborhood, and making sure that it all makes sense when we present the final presentation to that point, and also to make sure that it's fitting the size of the building. So all those things have to be taken in consideration.
Well, precisely, because although you don't state that, what the capacity of the, you say 22% of your school 17 students, that is 134 out of 623. You haven't explicitly stated the capacity of the building, but I assume it's something close to 623.
It's over 600, but those are the things that absolutely will be outlining in our report.
And yet you've defined, using the geocode, 1,000 public school students. You say enrolled students, I assume you mean charter school, RCSD students, Catholic school students.
Correct.
Live in this geocode. You say catchment area, but by definition, you're talking about
Understood.
geocode.
Understood.
That, in fact, exceeds the building's capacity. So you would have to come up with some variation on this map. And I sure hope it would take into account the fact that you've got hazard areas running right through the middle of it. That's all.
Again,
Understood.
really does reiterate the importance of taking the time to do this right. And so the lapses of time between now and June the 27th and between June the 27th and July 27th gives everybody the time to answer those critical questions. Commissioner Hallmark, did you want to say something?
Sure, I trust that everyone received my lengthy notes that I made on track changes to the forwarded resolution that came just yesterday?
No.
Yesterday morning?
Did everybody get them? I didn't see them.
All right, lengthy comments, so please make sure you look at those. But just for the record, some of the issues that I had with the language of the resolution proposed implies that we have taken no action on this, when in fact, as everyone knows, I led a task force on the managed choice policy, re-examining that policy and moving us toward neighborhood schools. So the implication that we haven't been doing anything about this is false. And so that language was pretty bothersome to me. So I'm certainly for neighborhood schools, but we need to do it properly, not haphazardly. Also, we passed 2 resolutions in December and January charging our superintendent to begin, to lining this up to work on it. So again, the language implied that we hadn't taken any action on this. And the language of it also it almost sounds like we would be negating those 2 resolutions that happened in December and January. So I just have some issues with that. Read my comments. And also at the end, there's a call for waiving our policy, which I find hugely problematic because waiving policy creates inconsistency and contributes to destabilization of the district when we weaken our policies. So I would urge us to do a workaround so that we're not waiving the policy. Perhaps, the policy actually doesn't address those families, as would happen in 33 and East, those families who don't participate, that might be another way of approaching it, really a directive to our placement office rather than, I certainly want to see the policy change, but we need to do it properly and we need to do it not haphazardly. So I would urge us to do it, look at ways to do it so that we're not waiving the policy. That's problematic in my mind.
Okay, we will look at that. I do want to just comment to say that we did know absolutely about the work that has been done prior, and we did take that into consideration when just preparing our short remarks here, and knowing that in December that was another resolution for our superintendent to do a deeper dive into the whole piece. So just to recognize that. But yes, absolutely about the further language.
I could actually say one more thing, which is I'm a little bit surprised I'm just surprised at the pressure on this, like the short timeline, because we want to get there. We want to move in this direction. We want to do it right. But if you pressure it too quickly, then you wind up with a product that's bad. So I really want this to be done correctly. I'm concerned about the pressure about doing it incorrectly and haphazardly. And I'm a little bit surprised that we wouldn't, I know that there's a desire to move the needle across the whole district and in this school particularly, but there's so many other areas. I'm just surprised that this issue, which is so big and so meaty and so complicated, and we clearly need to do a lot of work on it, would be foregrounded as the first place where we would, be working, because in addition to that, I'd like to see that. But we could be working on hiring of teachers, instructional leadership, vertical teaming, collaborative work in departments. There's just PD. There's so many other ways that you can more quickly move the needle at the ground level place. So I was just surprised that we're starting here. I'm questioning the urgency and the quick date behind this. It doesn't make sense to me.
So one of the things, just lastly about that, I think that you get to this point after so much of that work that you just mentioned is more embedded in the school culture, to take on the ability to make sure all these complex systems are working together for families. And so I don't see it as the first, but as one of the major pieces that we've gotten to transform a school. So, and I know that we'll have an opportunity to talk more, but high-performing schools, that piece, and I don't need to tell this board, is that the piece of parent engagement and community engagement is one of the most critical elements in transforming a school. So this is part of that.
Absolutely. And I wanted to cede a little bit of time to Commissioner Powell, too.
I thank you very much, Liz. I'm really upset at what I just heard, because I think we're lying to this room. Your answer fails to address the fact that Commissioner Ilya is making us do this. And that is where the urgency comes from. Let's not pretend that didn't happen, okay? I've heard enough dancing around the facts. I'm tired of this dancing around the facts. Commissioner Ilya came here and she said, do it or else. Why are we not prepared to say that out loud in front of a camera audience?
Well,
Can I respond to that?
Well, sure. Beth, let Commissioner Adams speak to that. Go ahead. I don't mind, too. What's that?
I just have a direct response to
Yeah, go ahead.
So the School 17 model is not new. And to the extent that Commissioner Ilya or any other leader has put a fire under the district to implement what we said we would do. President White said that when he took his presidency. One of the main things we need to do is do what we say we will do. So this is already existing. This is not something new. I wish that there would be a champion like Dr. Ilya to insist that people know about the 2015 resolution articulating School 44 with School 16 with a very directive and helpful set of mechanisms to support neighborhood schools in the 19th Ward, which has been, as far as I can tell, ignored in terms of district. It's been elevated by the community. I know I do my best to keep it alive. I know that others, continue to say, look, this is a directive. This is what we said we would do. And we see no evidence of that. What I hear is people at School 44 saying, I hope our school can stay open. Well, there's a directive that school will close in 2018 and that there will be an orderly transition, which would have had to have been begun planning before now. So I would like a champion, whether it's Dr. Elia or someone else with that level of voice, to articulate the board directive to advance a neighborhood schools supporting communities, neighborhood community school model that this board, with intense community input, met the needs of families, parents in that school to avoid another school one situation, or another near early college leadership academy for young men situation, or another, and we can iterate over the years the times we have disserved our families through lack of predictability, lack of consideration. We don't need to concierge this term, concierge people. We don't need to do that if we do our job and we have planning and we're honest with families. The School 44 community should be told this week before school lets out. There should be a mass information campaign to that school community saying that your school will be closed in 2018, so that if someone's enrolling a kindergarten, they're aware of that. And if they are in the neighborhood of School 16 and School 44, they know that if we do what we said we would do, their child will be seamlessly transferred over to School 16. They won't be concierge. It'll be systematic, and we will know, and everyone will know. So this is, this is like from the early college situation to this situation to School 17. It's more of doing what we said we would do and honoring. And also, just Liz, to some of your track changes, you were questioning whether we have a commitment to neighborhood schools. Yes, we do. The board has iterated it explicitly in priorities in the past. The superintendent in the past has iterated prioritizing neighborhood community schools. Every budget book going back historically, I went and double checked, has that as a priority. We address it through trying to manipulate transportation in a way that will support neighborhood community schools. So there's no question about our district valuing and supporting a shift toward neighborhood schools. That's not in question. Now, does that mean the complete elimination of choice? No, absolutely not. And the phrasing is that most children would be able to attend a neighborhood school, high-quality neighborhood school, but it's not exclusively. So it's not I don't want to create the confusion that we are shifting to a completely neighborhood school or that we're saying that. We're not.
Either or.
But there is definitely and consistently and across the board prioritization over the years of that shift. And I just want to say, like, if we were putting on the table my kid's school 10 shifting from a citywide school to a neighborhood school tonight, then I would agree with you. We have to wait for this comprehensive assessment. That would be a significant change. But these things, whether we're talking about 33, 17, 44 and 16, these are consistent. We just need to do what we said we're doing. We're not disrupting anything. We're not starting something new before the analysis has been done.
I don't think I can say it any better than Commissioner Adams. In terms of Commissioner Elia, I think she came in and voiced what you see in the resolution. These people have been asking for this for quite some time. And so I think she's, with all due respect, Commissioner Powell, both you and I have had our moments where we demand certain things take place. And we do that because we're representing a voice in the community that maybe would not be heard if we did not put our finger on the table. Both you and I have done that in the past. So I don't falter for doing that. And in fact, any good leader not only leads, but listens. And so, yeah, I heard her say, I want this to happen, but I heard her say that on behalf of the people who've been asking for this for quite some time. I should also note that the current resolution does track those efforts. It does talk about Josana's desire for a neighborhood, a school as a source of community pride. It does track the city of Rochester's efforts, the mayor's Beacon School effort. The mayor and the city residents have called for this. It does in fact track, Commissioner Hallmark, the prior efforts of your good work. It does talk about Managed Choice Task Force and the good work that you have done, or you and the committee, I should say, have done, it does track the fact that that committee recommended that our superintendent conduct a comprehensive assessment. And finally, I don't know if you missed it, because this, again, that's why it is important that we give ourselves some time. I have not had a chance to read your track changes, and I certainly will do that. But I would encourage everybody to read this, because the last version of this, and this was a result of my conversation last night at the pizza stop with Commissioner Powell, we eliminated the phrase waive the policy.
Okay, but I didn't read that. All I have is this that says waive.
No, the most recent version, the one in the packet, does not say waive, but that's okay, I get it. And that's why I recommended that we give ourselves time to look at everybody's materials. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it's ironic because the folks in Josana and Charles Settlement House have considered this a neighborhood school for years. Right, so all we're doing now is sort of putting structure to what's already been going on in that neighborhood. And I will remind the board that it was Josana and Charles House who worked very closely with the design team to make changes to 17th School to include access for the community and things like that. So I think this has been going on for a while, and if we're going to start with this whole idea, because we've all been committed to this whole idea of neighborhood schools, and we've been talking about it, this is an opportunity for us to, you know, finally put it to use and make sure that we start somewhere. And where else better to start than a school that already has tremendous community support, that's part of a neighborhood. And I think 17 would be a great example of how this could happen and be rolled out, regardless of who's put the pressure on. I think Commissioner Ilya coming in and just pressing the button, pressing the button on a machine that started years and years ago already anyway, so at this point. The other thing I would like to do is to have the folks from Josana and Charles House maybe come to the meeting on the 27th to talk more specifically about what their commitment is to the school, what their ideas are, what kinds of issues they see, you know, coming forth, and then having the board, giving the board the opportunity to be able to have some little bit of dialogue with them, because I think, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, what's critical in this process is not the structure, it's not the process, and it's not the money. It's the community's support of what we're trying to do there. Lacking that, this goes nowhere. And so I'd like to hear from the folks in Josana to talk about what they've done in the past and where they want to go with the school, and what kinds of commitments they have to this process and to this demonstration project. So, thank you, Mr. President.
So, Dr. Massetti Miller, you know, there's so many doctors in this building, I don't know who to call by first name. Beth, can you make sure, or can we make sure that someone from Josana gets here? Because I think that's a great idea.
And Charles Settlement House.
And Charles Settlement House.
Absolutely.
Because we do need to, and in fact, I had said to Dr. Lee that we needed to make sure that we had somebody to speak on the community side from this. But today is not the day. Again, June 27th is a good time to do that. Great. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, we're good. And we'll, when we get to this part on the agenda, I'll make a motion, or someone can make a motion to table to the 27th. Thank you, Dr. Miller.
But Mr. President, before we go on to other business, maybe before the committee reports, I just want to point out on the suspension data that the Leadership Academy for Young Men have one of the lowest suspension rates. And that's particularly when we talk about young boys, particularly African-American boys who get suspended the most. It should be pointed out and noted that the Leadership Academy for Young Men have a 5.16 suspension rate. And we have, and I will also like to point out that all City High School has a 2.30 suspension rate, and and then of course the lowest school with the lowest suspension rate goes to School Without Walls at a 0.32 percentage rate. So there's something to when you look at the Leadership Academy for Young Men, when we look at the fact that it's African-American boys, particularly in those younger middle school grades, who get suspended the most, to see the work that they're doing over at the Leadership Academy that is reducing suspension rates. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Before I begin to address how we're going to deal with the balance of the agenda, I want to, again, at the risk of sounding like I'm running a broken record player, express my thanks to Dr. Shavi and Dr. Beth Machete Miller. You both handled very difficult subjects today, and you represented the district well. You gave us the information that you needed. There was no protesting, and I think you got us to a place where we can have peaceable dialogue. So thank you very much on behalf of the board. It was a job well done. Can we give them a round of applause? That was a very difficult subject. That was a good job. Good job. We have had situations like that. We all have seen them, and they have not ended so well. And this is not over, by the way, but I think everyone can really appreciate the challenges that they had, how they presented, and they've gotten us to the point where we can begin to have civil, rational, and appropriate dialogue to get these situations resolved for our kids. So thank you again. We're going to have to try to move things around a little bit, and I'd ask folks to move a little quicker if they could. I want to take the Parent Advisory Council. They may have left for the evening, and I know I did. Oh, I know I did see some of them here. They probably left because it got late. You're going to do the report for them?
On behalf of the Parent Advisory Council, they did leave. The expectation today was they wanted to honor Felix Jacobs and Candace Lucas, who will no longer be a part of the Parent Advisory Council. Their children are seniors and they will be graduating. They could not stay, they had to leave. But I wanted to personally acknowledge our Parent Advisory Council and our Bilingual Educational Council. We'd like to acknowledge Erica Simmons as the Vice Chair for the Executive Committee, Makita Salone as the Chair for the Executive Committee, Candace Lucas, who will be leaving us, Felix Jacobs, who will also be leaving the Parent Advisory Council. We'd also like to acknowledge Giancarlo Giannini and George Moses. We know that it takes a village to raise a child. Our parents and our families are the heartbeat of this district. Parent Advisory Council and the Bilingual Educational Council, we want you to know that we love you. We appreciate you and we are here for you. Thank you for all that you do for others and your service to the Rochester City School District. I'd also like to acknowledge the Bilingual Educational Council and Ms. Myrna Gonzalez for her work. The Office of Parent Engagement actually had presentations for them tonight as well, but we will.
Well, but hold on now. We don't know what their availability is for June 27th. We're meeting next Tuesday. It's a shame that you would make such a wonderful presentation and they wouldn't be here to hear it. Yeah. I would suggest that we call them up and see what their availability is for the 27th so you can repeat that wonderful presentation.
Okay, I will do my best.
We'll do your best.
I will do my best tonight.
That's a very full evening.
Well, it may be a full evening, but what the commitment that our parents make, it's worth taking the time to thank them. So we will do that if they're available.
I agree.
We'll put them first. Absolutely, put them first.
Please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so is anybody from the Bilingual Council here? She's probably not here either. All right, so let's move on to our regular committee reports. Our student rep is not here, but Commissioner Powell?
Oh, okay. As my colleagues know, the timing is that we did not have a policy committee meeting since the last board meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is June 29 at 6 p.m. So for those of you who need to decide whether you want to be there, the topics for discussion will be a draft policy for our immigration students and their family, and for the protection of our immigrant students and their families, revision for our education of homeless students policy, changes recommended by NYSBA, the district policy prohibiting discrimination and harassment of students or employees, employee obligations surrounding reporting of suspected child abuse and neglect, and our student records and privacy policy. We will also be discussing 2 new proposed policies, a field trip and international travel policy, and de-escalation of student emotional behavioral problems. So that's what our agenda is for the June 29 meeting. Is that right? Yep, that's right. And the next meeting after that will be August 10th.
You said?
That concludes my report. Oh, on other activities, the New York State School Board Association Board of Directors met this past weekend. One of the topics of interest to us is NYSBA has a resolution in support of regional schools and has had for the last 5 years, which will be sunsetting, and it will be brought before the School Boards Association this fall for renewal. And that's interesting because, of course, we have Great Schools for All locally working on a proposed regional school to help develop equity across school boundaries within Monroe County. This is also but we have interesting allies. Suffolk County already has regional high schools, and the Jamestown area in Region 1 would like to see regional high schools so that they can continue to provide AP courses, which they've had to cut back for budgeting reasons. So on the general topic of choice and school choice systems, I hope to be able to bring a resolution to amend the superintendent's charge for her study on capacity to include consideration of Great Schools for All. I'll bring that resolution on to our next board meeting and include with it a directive to whoever our voting delegate is, asking them to cast a vote in favor of the regional schools resolution. Not much else from this weekend's meetings of interest to the body, though. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Hallmark?
Sure. So the Governance Committee did not meet this month. However, I'd like to remind my colleagues about the upcoming retreat next month. That will be July 21st and 22nd. 21st is a full day Friday. 22nd is a half day in the morning. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm very appreciative of Commissioner Powell, who's offered and agreed to help work with me to plan the agenda and some of the activities that we'll be doing. Also, just as a informational thing, we will be presenting the board self-evaluation tool for acceptance in tonight's executive meeting later on, just so you know about that. And other things to report, I was just to kind of reiterate, I was pleased to attend the Urban League Black Scholars Dinner. That was a lovely event. And I was very glad to be able to attend School Number 1's closing and celebratory day. It was bittersweet, but also lots of wonderful, inspiring words that were shared. I'd also like to mention that since I did the task force on the neighborhood school or the managed choice policy from March through the early fall, 6 months of working on it, since then that task force charged me to go and present our recommendations to various neighborhood groups, and I think I failed to let people know that I have been doing that for the last 4 or 5 months. I've hit almost all of the city quadrants, the centers, the neighborhood centers, and then some of the subgroups from there, and I'm presenting the PowerPoints from our, I see a couple of the members from the task force here in the audience, presented it and collecting suggestions and questions, and happy to say that there's great support for it around the city, and I continue to do so and will continue to collect those ideas to share as we go forward. And I just also want to add that I was really touched with what we're doing with the newspaper, taking out an ad for our top senior salute to our seniors, and I think that's a fabulous idea, and thank you for doing that. That was really touching.
Thank you, Commissioner Hallmark. You know, the great thing about this technology, or we're going to continue to move forward, is but everybody communicates. Somebody sent me a note and said, Van, you said next Tuesday, June 27th, is a week and a half from now. So when we reconvene to talk about this, people will have about a week and a half. So I just thank you, anonymous person, not in this room, Vice President Elliott.
I see Malik here.
Where?
Isn't this him?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
You're green though, man.
You're green.
You look like Shrek.
Not up here.
You do.
Goodness. How you doing, Commissioner?
Your teeth look all jacked up.
No, man. You look like a monster.
Turn it off.
Welcome, Mr. Commissioner Evans. Where you at, man?
Good to be Where? It looks like it. I wish you guys could see this. It's a terrible picture.
Amazing.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
okay.
behind that? Oh, he looks good there.
He looks good there. He's green. He's literally green here.
Our screens are green here.
Oh my goodness. I know.
Yeah, we'll have our meeting like this.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The Community Intergovernmental Relations Committee did not meet. We will not meet. I don't think we're going to meet in July. And we'll resume meeting in August. But a point of personal privilege, Mr. President, I just wanted to, I was really proud of our president at the Black Scholars event. He's probably been doing this for a long time, but it's the first time that I saw that the president awarded, gave a scholarship in honor of his dad, who's no longer with him. And what President White indicated was that his dad, who a lot, particularly the old school folk, know who Sam White was, but he was one of the people to actually help to organize the Urban League and to bring in its first president, Bill Johnson. So I just wanted to recognize our president for awarding this scholarship in his name. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Cruz?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I have a brief report. Finance Committee met on Thursday, June 8th to consider a number of resolutions. We also reviewed the financial report dated through May 2017, and I put forth a motion to approve or to accept the financial report as presented to the committee.
That motion's been made and seconded? Oh, did you second it?
I second.
Oh, looks like Commissioner Evans seconded it.
Second.
All those
you look better now in front of us.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also have a number of resolutions that were fully vetted through the committee. We are presenting them this evening. They are in your packet. Resolutions 815 for transportation. We have procurement and supply, facilities, and a couple others that are considered others. In your package this evening, they were all, as I said, vetted, fully vetted and recommended for you this evening. The committee, we also have Resolution 786 for Educational Partnership Organization, the EPO for East. And we are still trying to determine whether we're going to have a July meeting because we normally don't close out the books through June. It takes a bit of time to do that. So we normally don't meet in July unless there is some essential resolution that needs to be vetted before the Finance Committee. But we will notify you whether we do or do not have a Finance Committee in July. Other than that, that ends my report.
Before we get to you, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Evans, do you have a report or do you have something written, or how do you want to handle that?
I do.
and it's submitted in writing.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Commissioner Adams?
The audit committee did not meet since we met last, since the last board meeting.
And Mr. President, I just have one point of personal privilege. You mentioned the passing of Gary Smith, and I just wanted to let the remaining members of the board know that I did attend Gary's funeral. It was packed. Our CFO was there, Everton Sewell was there, and I'm not sure who else was from the district was there, but it was clear that he was loved and loved by his family and loved by his friends. They said that his faith was first, family second, and his friends were next, and so he had a really good transition. I was asking someone about him today, one of my board members at Baton, and what they pointed out to me was that Gary was a fierce negotiator. You know, so on behalf of the district. So I just wanted to share that with you, Mr. President, and the members and my other colleagues.
Thank you, Vice President Elliott. For my report, I want to say, I think I said to you guys a couple months ago when we collected the ties, and by the way, Vice President Elliott, I have some ties to give you for Baden.
Okay, thank you.
I said I was doing that in recognition of the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. This is the 50th anniversary of that book. It's a powerful book. You can get it on Amazon. This month, I'm going to press board staff a little bit and ask them to create a little box on the entryway to collect 50 books for children. My preference is that they be new books, and you can really go to the dollar store and get a $1 new book for a kid, or gently used books, and just drop them in that box. My hope is that we'll collect 50. We were trying to collect 50 ties. I think we collected 400. So I think we can easily manage 50 books for children in our community. So that will begin tomorrow. I also want you guys to know that, and we'll hear more detail about it if anybody has any questions about it, but of course the Bente collective bargaining agreement successfully concluded negotiations. There's a resolution before you, I think it's 855. I want to thank Steve and Carl and the entire team for negotiating. I see Dan back there. I'm not good at seeing that far, but I think I see you back there. Is that right? Is that you, Dan? Yeah. The board members have yet to vote on this, and they will probably in about the next half hour or so. But in advance of that vote, kudos to all those who put in the effort to come up with a successful agreement, and we appreciate that work. As Vice President Elliott pointed out, and as Commissioner Hallmark pointed out, and the Superintendent as well, the Black Scholars Dinner was the other night. Vice President Elliott, Commissioner Hallmark, and of course Barbara Dean Williams was there, and it was a good night. It was good to see all those young children, and when we go to events like that, you say, where is the media when you need them? Where was I earlier today? And oh, it was here. And at a pre-ceremony, we had all these students that had 4.5s and 4.3s, and you say, where is the media? We've got a lot of kids with a lot to be proud of, and we saw that at the Black Scholars Dinner, and we saw that tonight with our athletic scholars. We had a 3-on-3 meeting. A number of them resulted in a resolution that is before you today, this proposed intermunicipal data sharing agreement. That is the result of a lot of work, a lot of meetings that have taken place over many months, and that is in your packet as well. Resolution 854 addresses school climate issues. This would be the follow-up to the great work that was done by the task force. It's getting late. I know some of the task force members were here earlier, but I know they put in some good work, and this resolution, I hope you support it, allows those folks and folks from the administration to follow up on that good work. It is Resolution 854, and I should thank Commissioner Adams. I know she doesn't like folks to do this, but she and a lot of other people, I know she would want me to say that, a lot of other people put a lot of work into that, the recommendations, and the whole idea behind 854 is to make sure we follow up on that. Carl, thank you for your work with Commissioner Adams on that proposed resolution. The SUNY transition team continues to meet. Steve, thank you for your work on that. I'm in constant contact with Anju as recently as yesterday. I should let you all know it's a little more complicated. You wouldn't think so because it's a smaller school. We see a couple smiling faces out there. To establish the EPO at Geneseo, The resolution that you passed last month allows that work to continue. It's more complicated because this whole agreement, as Steve will tell you, has to be approved by the SUNY Board of Trustees. And they have legal counsel that isn't necessarily based, that is not based in Geneseo or in Albany, where these schools are. They're based in Albany Central. Geneseo doesn't have its own attorney like the U of R does. So those negotiations there are taking a little time. They have reported to me, Anju reported to me, this doesn't surprise anybody, that they will not complete their work by July 1st. That just will not happen. They continue to work on it. I know that Anju has been in talks with Barbara. They're working very collaboratively together. You all recall your resolution indicated, I think the very last sentence said, or whenever it can be accomplished, and that's what we're working on. So stay tuned. Hopefully there'll be some updates on that. The Resolution 859, as you know, relates to school number 17. We've talked about that ad nauseum. June 27th, a week and a half from now, you all will have an opportunity to hopefully hear from Jasana and other groups and have questions answered. The resolutions will be clarified, and we'll vote on that on June 27th, and the administration will present a final plan of attack or final resolution on July 27th. And then the only other thing I would mention is the folks from DKX, Channel 13, MCC, Federal Credit Union, and most importantly, Henderson Family Ford. And I met at Henderson Family Ford out in Webster, and it was like, I felt like Yolanda Vega. I literally was picking out, along with others, tabs. We have identified the student who's winning the 2017 Ford Focus. I'm not gonna tell you, there's a great hint as to who this person is. When you see how lucky we got in terms of drawing this particular name, it's every student, well, one student from every school won $200. So that's the first thing. But one student won this car. And every student who won had a great story, but you will be moved to tears when you hear this student who won the 2017 Ford Focus. You could lottery your name in for any number of reasons. Increases in a grade point average from 2.1 to 2.7, attendance, increased attendance. It wasn't just for the students who were performing well academically. You could enter multiple times. And the student that we ended up with and how and what she's gone through I sort of gave it away. That's 50% of the population. What she went through to get to where she is, I should stop. I should stop. Yeah, hey, us lawyers have a tough time doing that. All right, so that concludes my report. Thank you, Commissioner Adams. All right, so let's move on to the discussion of resolutions. Can I get a motion to discuss resolutions 772 to 786, East High School resolutions? It's been moved by Commissioner Cruz. Will you take that? Seconded by Commissioner Adams. Any questions or comments for Dr. Nelms?
Yeah, I was not clear about, we have Tanya Wilson, 772, but then we have her again back at 778. What's that about?
In the first year of the EPO, administrators are like on loan, if you will, and then after they're into their first year, they are transitioned to a permanent probation, which is part of the ASAR contract that was negotiated.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, one other question, 777. It looked like that this person was being paid $55,000 for just 3 weeks.
No. Yep. So that employee went on paid leave for, help me see if I'm going to say too much about an employee. But she was been an employee with us the entire year, and in June we had to remove her from the classroom.
Well, the question is, are we paying her $55,000 for 3 weeks?
That's her annual salary.
Okay, that's not what it says here. It just says salary. So I wasn't sure.
No, that was her annual salary.
And I see that this says paid leave, and this does say paid leave of absence.
Right.
So I wasn't sure if we were paying her. I think we need to check that to make sure.
No, we definitely.
That we're not paying her for 3 weeks, $55,000.
No, and then she is, again, on resolution, she's in the packet again for a different reason. Let me just find the resolution number.
And then, well, you all can straighten that out. But, you know, that was sort of like that driver's license instructor.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't want anything like that to happen. And that we pass it, and then this person is getting $55,000 for 3 weeks.
Right,
All right. And then 785, it just seems like that's an exorbitant amount of money that we're paying to do this work for one school. Talk to me about that. Why are we paying
This is,
such to me, an exorbitant amount of money for that?
under the receivership law, we have to, they dictate how much money we must spend on an independent evaluator. So that is
Who dictates how much money we
state.
spend?
the state,
So they tell us to spend $250,000 for this?
yes.
Why is that necessary for them to tell us how much to spend?
It's part of the receivership grant, it's part of the law. They tell us what to spend, and we have to allocate that amount to an independent evaluator. Each receivership schools have something similar.
All right.
We had no say in that.
And then for 786, why do we need to do an evaluation for vision care? That's another pot of money that it seems, $50,000. Why is that necessary?
It's not just an evaluation, it's actually creating a system to track all the kids who get vision care and track them over time. So right now, there is not a system in place where we can input kids who get vision care or dental care. And as we grow out, for example, at 33, there's dental care. We support kids with vision. We want to see how those kids perform over time when they get those necessary services.
It just seems to me that this is a waste of money too. But, all right, I'll just vote no. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Nelms? All right, there being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of Resolution 772 to 786 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Yeah, no for 785, no for 786.
Okay, we will go into executive session on Resolution 787. We'll consider that motion for executive session in a moment. How about, can I get a motion to discuss Resolution 788 through 808?
So moved.
Been moved by Vice President Elliott, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Evans. Any questions or comments regarding those Human Capital Initiative resolutions? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of Resolution 788 to 808 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Barbara, Superintendent?
Take a point of privilege, please. Yep. I used to give thanks and praise and blessings to the Rochester City School District, who prepared such talented administrators that joined me in Greece Central School District. And as you know, you got Dr. Nelms to come back and rejoin Rochester City. So he and I are both pleased to welcome our newest Chief of Schools, Toya Wilson, who's with us tonight. Welcome home.
That's pretty impressive. She stole her away, and she stole her back when she get. You got game. That's pretty bold. But welcome back. We're glad to have you. All right. Let's go on to a discussion of resolutions 809 through 814. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding those resolutions? All those in favor of resolutions 809 to 814 say aye. Aye. But I abstain from resolution 812. You got that, Madam Clerk? I didn't hear anybody else.
Aye.
Okay, I think you've got, any nays? All right, Madam Clerk, you got that vote? Because I didn't. Okay, all right. All right, can I get a motion to discuss resolutions 815? Been moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by?
Wait a minute, did we do other resolutions? Were they all a part of?
No, we haven't got to other yet. We're on 815.
Did you skip that?
Which one?
809 to 814?
No, we just did that. 809, that's where I said.
Additional resolution, additional pay.
Additional
I never
pay.
vote on it. My
Okay.
vote is no.
All right, you recorded that vote?
Not me.
All right, so I got a motion from Commissioner Cruz to discuss resolution 815. Did I get a second for it?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Evans. We'll let him do that, Commissioner Adams, all right? Any questions or comments? Commissioner Evans, you want to say anything? You just look like you're chilling there.
I know.
No.
Got some gin and juice.
Yeah, look at him. He just chilling.
camera
Gin and
angles have
juice.
been going all over the place.
Do you want to tell us where you are? Where are you? What state, what world are you in?
I wouldn't tell him.
Look at him. What's that?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow, okay, all right. Okay, did we take a vote on 815? We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, any discussion regarding 815? Any discussion?
821.
No discussion. All those in favor of resolution 815, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, can I get a motion to discuss resolutions 816 to 821? Been moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding those procurement and
Yes,
supply
Mr.
resolutions?
President.
Yes.
I'm looking at the increase of 816, that went up from 31,000 the third year to 76,000 the fourth year. Somebody talk to me about that. Also with 818 as well.
So what was the first resolution?
816. This
816.
is under procurement and supply. Mr. Who was that? Budget director or CFO or
You want to
who?
answer that?
Or somebody wants to send me an email about that.
Email?
Oh.
Okay, okay.
All right, so it's 816 and 818. We saw a sharp increase over the previous year.
Then I'll let you.
So you'll get a response to her by email, to Vice President Elliott by email? All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments regarding those resolutions? There being no further questions, I'm sorry.
835?
No, we're on 816 to 821. You're good? Any other questions or comments regarding procurement and supply resolutions? There being no further questions, all those in favor of resolutions 816 to 821, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion to discuss resolutions 822 to 835.
So
Bless
moved.
you. Been moved by, I heard something down there, Commissioner
moved.
Hallmark,
Yeah.
and seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any questions or comments regarding those particular resolutions?
Yes, in the same question on 829, we see a significant increase over the previous year, as well as Resolution 830, we see a significant increase over the previous year, so I'd like to have some explanation about those two.
You'll get those to her by email, Vice President Elliott by email? Yes. Thank you, sir.
And then, can somebody talk to me about what we are approving for Resolution 835? This is the FMP.
Is there anybody here to address that?
Was Rowley here? I thought I saw Rowley.
The Chief of Staff is indicating that someone can respond to that by email. Is that all right, Vice President Elliott?
I had a question about that too. So just to add to the email question, just to be specific, does this change anything in terms of our local share? Or does it preserve, conservative local share expenditure? Like does this not increase our local share on either project? I missed this when I was reading it before. It looks like there's a shift in resources from Dr. Freddie Thomas Building to School 7, both of which are already planned.
Yeah, and I think I'm sorry, Mr. President, the answer to that is there's no change in the local share. There was a redistribution of some of the, from one school to the next because they could reutilize those funds in 7th school. Was it 7? And then, right, because they had access.
It's the double MCA thing.
Yes,
It's the
because of the
double
MCA thing. So it was just,
legislation.
it's a redistribution of current funds into the school where we could better utilize them because we're going to get the break on the MCA stuff. That's all that was about. Yes.
I've just noticed in the past, we have had representatives from procurement and supply and educational facilities here. I don't know, Superintendent.
That was Gary Smith.
Yeah, well, no, but even in his absence, Mike has been here. So in the future, if you think it's appropriate, you might want to have, do you want to speak to that?
I apologize. They would be here originally, but they are away in Boston at the relational capacity training. I was supposed to be there too, but we sent our procurement person as well as Mike Smith.
All right.
And in all fairness, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I just remember that Chief Schmidt had mentioned that they were going to be away, and if there were any questions, that please send the information to them, and they'll get the information back. So he did mention that to us at the committee meeting, so.
Thank you very
My
much.
bad for not mentioning that.
All right, so we got that taken care of. So those answers will be answered by email. Thanks, guys. All right, so we need to vote, though, on resolutions 822 to 835. All those in favor of those educational facilities resolutions say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition? No? All right.
You looking at me?
Well, I just, I just instinct.
Reflex.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. All right, can I get a motion? Would you give me a motion for resolution 836?
I will.
All right, it's been moved, and that is information technology.
It was withdrawn.
It was withdrawn.
Oh, it was withdrawn. Okay, thank you, colleagues. All right, so then we're left with, I need a motion for resolution 837 to 859.
837, 838 have been withdrawn as well, Mr. President.
It's 839 to 859.
Well, so there's,
Starts with 839.
Mr. President?
yes, ma'am.
For convenience sake, could we just take 839 to 852 as a bundle?
852 as a
Because
bundle.
I'd like to ask a question about the 853 and on.
All right, Madam Clerk, I'm looking at the agenda, and I hear Commissioner Cruz tell me that, and maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Placeholders were withdrawn.
Oh, I see.
So it starts at
They're just,
839.
839, I see.
Starts with 839.
So
All right.
could I move 839 through 852? I know it modifies our consent agenda, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Second.
So Commissioner Powell, I'm trying to understand, why do you want to move them?
oh, because I want to raise questions on 853, which follows.
You don't want to? Oh, so you just want to, all right, so I see what you're saying.
I just want to take an easy chunk that nobody has any questions about.
That's fine, that makes sense. All right, so can I get a motion to discuss resolution 839 to 852?
I think
So moved.
It's been moved, maybe we already did, it's been moved, seconded by Commissioner Cruz. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 839 to 852?
Yeah, I got questions, so I'm going to mess up Commissioner Powell's plan. Because I got questions on these earlier ones.
So much for that, but go ahead.
Right.
So regarding 841, I just want to explain my no vote. This is to authorize the City of Rochester Police Department, the SRO contracts for $1.12 million. And as I did in the recent vote on this, I just feel that given the struggles that we have providing so many services, whether it's, highly qualified reading teachers, counselors, we always are short in the highest priority areas. And for me, police officers inside of schools is not something that we should be spending $1.12 million on. I do understand the arguments for it. I know it's there's arguments on both sides, but that's the reason I will vote no for that. But I do have a question. Are the conditions of the most recent prior contract, the current contract, or the most recent prior contract, whatever is applicable, are they the same? The conditions of the contract, are they being carried forward, or have there been any changes in the conditions of the contract?
Commissioner, we're proposing the same language.
Thank you. And then I have another question on a
Sure.
different resolution. 849, actually, I guess this is more of a comment. This is the authorization to implement grade pre-K through 6 configurations in School 16 and School 4, which is consistent with facilities modernization plans that we have previously approved. My issue, again, is long-term comprehensive planning, and I know that we have the December comprehensive plan coming, and I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to it. However, these changes impact students and families prior to that time. And again, it's essential. It's essential. It's only fair. We could not get away with this in the suburbs of failing to inform families of upcoming changes. We must tell the School 16 families now, before school gets out. We must tell them that their kids cannot go to 8th, 7th grade next year in 2018. Because you may assume that they know, but they don't know. They don't know. It always comes up. And if we really respect our families and we want them to have time to give us feedback and to engage, they don't know. They're not reading that. Valerie Johnson read that big, huge document. But most of our, and her kids have graduated. Most of our families do not read the 2012 FMP document or the update from March of 2016. It will be a shock and a surprise to them. I'm sorry, I'm being redundant, I'm taking time, but we must inform our families. Even if we know that it may be an unpopular or it may cause a burden on our placement office or a burden on us. We have to tell them. Also, we really need to be looking at where the middle school spaces are. And that, I'm not insisting on an answer right now. That can be part of the December production. But reasonable middle school slots. Thinking about the desire for neighborhood patterns, thinking about the desire for staffing that will meet the needs of pre-adolescents, you know, all of that intense stuff. We need to have a good solution. So that's my comment on
So I would like to address your comment. One of the things that I have directed my staff to do is to communicate all plans that we know about multiple years in advance. That there should not only be a website that's kept up to date and accurate that people can refer to, but it should be included in all of the materials that are distributed when parents choose schools and should be included as you speak. I would expect that as of July 1, we would see those websites and those materials more clearly, but I just want to reiterate that this is a significant concern. The communication, the need for the additional communication, but quite frankly, we cannot have people enrolling kids in schools as kindergartners and first graders and then seeing changes that people didn't predict. So the staff has been directed, I will ask Fatima Reed to personally make sure that that occurs. And it does require multiple offices to come together and to share accurate data. That is a challenge, but we're going to have to find a way to improve on that process. And there's been some opportunities to do that recently, so we'll continue down that road.
So to that point, can you commit to communicate with the School 44 families, the School 16 families, any other families that are going to be impacted like where their school is going to close or their next grade configuration is going to close, before the school gets out? Like, I mean,
Yes,
that's like Monday.
I issued the
That's like
directive
a
after
letter.
you said it. I just issued a
Thank you so
directive to
much.
4
That
people to
is-
get it done, so it will be done next week. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding resolutions 839 to 852?
Yes.
Commissioner
I'm
Hallmark?
sorry. I have so many comments in this section. This is just a question for Dr. Hooper. On 842, this issue came up in ESA committee a while back. Is this money for recap for kindergarten?
This is for the pre-kindergarten program, so the 3 and 4-year-olds. And it covers a wide range of things, but one thing that it covers is having independent evaluators go into every pre-K classroom and complete 2 program evaluations that are required by our grants. One is the class, and the other one's called the Eckers.
Okay, we had discussed doing that for kindergarten as well, and I wondered if that was this.
I
but
only
not.
have pre-kindergarten grant money, so I can only address it for the pre-kindergarten.
All right,
program.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding resolutions 839 to 852?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yep.
851, I'm concerned about who this person is going to be as community school site coordinator. If I looked at the resolution, some of the other resolutions, and if it's who I think it is, while that person may have experience, she's not really connected to the neighborhood. And so we always give these people these jobs who are disconnected from the neighborhood, paying them these salaries, and don't give us results. And so I'm concerned, so I will vote no on that. This person needs to be from the community, not somebody who's been brought in, and we have this kind of top-down approach. That's not going to work. She's not going to work in this position in a way in which is going to impact that community. I'm telling you now.
Vice President Elliott, you're referring to, I just want to make sure we're clear.
Oh, yeah,
851?
851.
Okay.
If that's the person, if it's the person who I think it is, that's not going to work. I'm going to put the name out right now. She may have the experience of doing this work, but she's not from the community. And that's always going to be a problem.
Well, it's
We can talk after, but for clarification, there are some staffing changes there, and I can share that with you after.
That's always where the disconnect is. We bring these people into the community as opposed to hiring from the community.
Yeah. So it is.
And we pay them these exorbitant salaries that can't have impact.
So understood, and they did change it for this year.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding resolutions 839 to 852? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 839 to 852 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No. No on 841.
No on 841 for Commissioner Adams. He's frozen. Looks like
we should take a picture of that. Take a picture of that. Take a picture of that.
He's all sideways.
We finally bored somebody to death.
All right.
Is that B-O-A-R-D or B-O-R-E-D?
All right, so now I need a motion to yes.
No vote. No vote.
Madam Clerk, we got some no votes here. We got Commissioner Adams.
Yes, 841, 842, 851. How far are we?
To 852.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I need a motion to discuss resolutions 853 to 858.
Yeah, I would like to move 853 for discussion purposes.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we could just do that. I mean, so let's just, there's a motion to discuss resolution to 853.
Cut off.
We'll have to tell you what happened, Commissioner. We'll have to tell you what happened.
Check your text.
What's that? Oh, yeah, Commissioner Adams, you kind of faded out there. Commissioner Evans, you faded out there for a minute. I need you to, your vote on resolutions.
I was voting resolution.
I missed that last
understand
part.
a word
Did
you
y'all
said.
catch that?
Yeah, but it was frozen. He was voting on the resolution. On the resolution, but it was
Okay, voted aye. All right, you got that? All right, so we're, at this particular time, on motion of Commissioner Powell, we're just discussing, and seconded by Vice President Elliott, we're just discussing resolution 853. Commissioner Powell?
So I want to start by saying this has not been through policy committee. And I was asked essentially to sponsor this resolution. And I crafted the language including, or with Deborah, to include a paragraph waiving the board's policy adoption and amendment policy in order to expedite it. And then at some point afterwards, I said, why do we have to do this? Why does it have to be expedited? When does poor prior planning on one person's part become a crisis on ours? And so I think our legal counsel is prepared to answer that question for us. But it is a technical amendment to our student attendance and withdrawal policy. It all hinges on whether chronic absence versus excessive absence are effectively the same thing. But I think our legal counsel should explain to the board why we have to bypass our traditional and process for board policy review.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'll try and keep this as succinct as I can. The necessity for the resolution, of course, was expressed in the materials, that being that 3 of our receivership schools will receive credit that they deserve if we, in fact, make this change, acknowledging a technical distinction that the State Education Department has put forward in their rules for receivership schools. The reason for the emergency is that there is a July 7th due date, as I recall the materials, by which time this resolution has to be submitted, and it just was not sufficient time to run it through the policy committee before doing that. Commissioner Powell, however, in considering this with me, asked why. And I looked a little bit back through the email trail and discovered that this actually was, this SED request for change has been before the district's administration for quite some time, and it just did not really surface until, I think it was mid last week or so. So that is the reason. I can't really quite explain why the request was here back in, I think it was November, and it took this long for it to come before this body. But it is essentially an emergency resolution that we should address, because really our receivership schools score is going to be positively impacted if we just make this technical change.
Thank you, Carl. In short, I was prepared to go on a rant about how SED is getting in our business and telling us how to write our policies, but for Carl's explanation that there was a falling down on our end, ours being the district, not ours being the board. So, we have to call out these failings in order to begin to correct them. And I just wanted to take the time to, nobody's happy when we're put in a position like this, and thank goodness it's just a technical matter and not a substantive debate over, whether we should return to catchment areas or go with a zoneless choice or something otherwise dramatic in terms of its impact on the district. Thank you.
Commissioner Hallmark?
So I'd like to add, not to pile on to this, but there are actually 3 resolutions here, 853, 854, and 858. All of these I'm going to vote for, but I just want to add to that. We're getting a little sloppy because these haven't, for that one, I get that under that explanation, but for the other 2, we didn't put them through committee. And we need to do the correct process. I recognize that Commissioner Adams sent emails out, and I appreciate that, but to do it properly, these should go through committee. So there's a place for us to actually talk about it together. Email is not sufficient. So I just want to say that.
Definitely a fair comment. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Adams?
Yep, for 858, I just want to appreciate the work of the 3-on-3-on-3 committee. I think that's an important step forward. It contributes to the big picture of improving school climate and decreasing dropouts and being connected.
Excuse me, Commissioner Adams, we're not exactly there because we're only talking about 853.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
I was following Commissioner Hallmark.
No, you're right.
That's right. I opened up the can of worms, didn't I?
Segue.
Any other questions regarding or comments regarding 853? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 853 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Aye. Well, there he goes. There you are. All right. Now, I need a motion to discuss resolutions 854 to 858.
So moved.
Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding those resolutions?
I really would like 854 and probably 855 to be discussed in the executive session. Is that possible?
Do they relate to personnel matters?
Well, 855 absolutely does, but...
Well, 855 certainly could be because it relates to contract negotiations.
Yeah, but maybe not 854, but do I have the floor?
Well, what I can do is if you want to talk about 855 in executive session, we can just save that for...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because we have another one, 787, that has to be discussed in executive session, so we can do that.
So 854, do I need to discuss publicly?
Well, 854...
that's the school climate committees?
That's the need for committee.
No, that would, you would
vetting.
have to discuss, there's no personnel implications to
So I
that.
can discuss it
Yeah,
here?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So can I do it now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just concerned about when it seems as if we may be exhausting our staff. Giving them these additional duties and the impact it may have on their current assignments. And so, in also how this may impact the work of the district. I guess I'm wondering if we can even perhaps table this until we actually meet in our retreat, where we can really sort of discuss the value of this and really think through it. I would not want us to rush this at this point. Is there a reason why we need to vote on this tonight?
Commissioner Adams, you want to begin to address that?
Sure. I mean, this is following on several months of discussion, and it's a pretty straightforward solution to the conversations that we had, that you were part of, actually. So it's a pretty straightforward response to that conversation, and it's actually dragged on for a couple months already. So I would hope we would vote on it, and I know that there are many others who would hope that we would vote on this and be able to just begin to restart some of the work that involves the district and connections with the district regarding the task force recommendations, the implementation of the code, and so forth. So I would strongly hope that we would vote for it tonight and then be able to empower President White to assemble the committee.
I can respond to that. A couple things if we sort of dissect it. EPO Superintendent Sean Nelms is willing to assign, this is the District 2. He's willing to assign staff to this particular effort. If the administration, I spoke to Barbara about this, if there's a feeling that paragraph 1 of this particular resolution that says the district superintendent will be asked to recommend 5 administrative staff members, we can get a friendly amendment right now, and if the superintendent wants to recommend that be reduced in light of your concerns, we certainly could do that. What this does is this is done consistent with the board bylaws, which allow for the creation of special advisory committees, by the way, to make recommendations. This would, if we continue on with which we will, our retreat, and we discuss how we see ourselves 6 months from now, a year from now, and this committee comes up with the recommendations, and they're not in line with that vision, then we don't do it. All they're doing, consistent with board bylaws, and I don't even know when they would make these recommendations, is they're making recommendations. And again, with respect to taxing the administration, and again, I think if the superintendent felt that 5 was too many, and by the way, this proposal was passed around to the administration. Carl, as I indicated earlier, looked at it. And I'm certainly agreeable. I don't know about Commissioner Adams or anybody else here, but I'm flexible.
Just interject that the language is all written intentionally very flexibly, like it says asked to recommend. So like already the way it's written, if you said 3 instead of 5, this is just guidance for President White to establish a committee, which oftentimes we do it more through a less formal process of just verbally assenting to to President White to establish a committee. So it's really written flexibly, intentionally, to just get the ball moving again.
So let me just ask this question then. So School 19 and SUNY Geneseo or the Parents Advisory Council, they have not been involved with the development of this resolution?
It should come.
Everybody's sort of having their side discussions, which happens. You go ahead.
So in next year, as we've designed a number of in-district committees, the TAC-D work and such, one of the things we've done is schedule Monday through Friday during the workday, everyone has a schedule and assignments, including all of the PD and everything. So what I was going to do is ask for, some consideration of having this be after regular school hours, so we can be in the schools, so maybe after 4 p.m., and we were going to seek volunteers. I think there was a concern, frankly, I'll be honest, that there would be subcommittees and they would actually be doing the work. But what I see this more as a analysis of what's being done and sort of looking at things and working it forward. So I think there was a concern that would be a replication of the volume of work that was done to prepare the code, as opposed to this looked more like something that would be overseeing and looking at current, how things are working and maybe recommending forward. Is that a fair?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every effort has been made to meet the new administration and to, work with and to continue to advance the work, which is clearly a board priority, but to meet you, and to establish this way forward.
Okay, but my question is, in the development of this resolution, did we involve these people who are noted in the resolution? So did we involve the Parent Advisory Council in helping to develop this? Are they on board with it? Is East High School on board with it? Is School 19 on board with it?
They are all aware, but we do need to amend it to include the bilingual parents.
Well, let me just say, the idea in putting these groups in here was to make sure that we identified key stakeholders who would be part of this discussion. So we didn't seek their approval to get their names on here. This is just reaffirming the importance of their engagement. So someone's going to have to go to them, probably
But
me.
it would seem to me.
But they know.
They know. They know. Yeah.
That's the concern,
Yeah.
because here again, we want to make sure that we are having effective communication.
Oh, yeah.
That we're not just putting something, okay.
Yeah.
This is, I can just, at least for broad segments of people, this is desired. People are looking to see us go ahead and do this in advance.
And in that spirit, this is the other reason behind this. As you know, Vice President Ali, everybody here knows, we did something as a community that I don't think any other community has done, which is totally revamp the code of conduct, not just in piecemeal fashion, but they really, when I say we, I'm talking about the community. And so, to be honest, folks, I think people are wanting to stay involved. And board bylaws give people an opportunity, a structure for doing that. And I didn't write these bylaws. Nobody here wrote them. They were in place before most of us got here. I don't know about you, Commissioner Powell, but because there was a time that they revised the bylaws. I don't know if you were around.
I guess I could take authorship for that, but I didn't. I just was around when it happened.
Yeah. So the mechanics for maintaining community engagement are created through the bylaws. And I think the feeling is they created something that really was unprecedented and very powerful, but they want to make sure that that idea keeps going, and the bylaws create special advisory committees for us to do that. So that's the reason.
I'm real sensitive to now that people who we talk about, that they are part of the design. And if you're telling me that in terms of even this resolution, that we had these people who were part of that, then I'm satisfied. Because we don't need to do this sort of top-down approach. I know that there's been work going on, but that was under a different resolution. This resolution is something else, and so have we, these people, these stakeholders that we include in the resolution, are they aware of this resolution?
Yes.
All right.
All right, any other questions or comments regarding resolutions 554 to 558?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment.
Yes, sir.
That in paragraph 4 of the resolve section.
Are we on 854?
We're on 854, yes.
Yep.
That we add to the language where it says the Parent Advisory Council. If I may add
the bilingual,
the Parent Advisory Council and the Bilingual Council will be asked to recommend 2 or 3 parents to the task force as well.
And how about the Special Education Advisory Council too?
That's a good idea.
That's starting the Parent Advisory Council for Special Education.
That's a good idea.
Oh, yes. So let's add those 2 to that paragraph. If we
Got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
that's what we're voting on. Everybody knows we're adding the Bilingual Council and the Special Education Parent
point of order.
It's friendly, so we don't have to, yeah.
Well, but point of order.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
in order for a friendly amendment to be a friendly amendment, the author of the resolution
resolution.
has to declare it a friendly amendment, yes?
It is
Otherwise,
a friendly-
otherwise you need a
friendly and
vote.
appreciated amendment.
What's that?
Oh,
It
yes.
is a friendly and
There you
appreciated
go,
amendment.
okay. Now we're
I
covered.
asked
All right,
her-
there we go.
I asked
We got
her
it covered.
first, she said yes.
Like
Is that friendly?
She's friendly too.
She's friendly.
She's smiling.
She's smiling.
What you say? You see your husband
I
back
just
there.
want to make sure we do this right.
Okay. All right, so we got a friendly amendment. We all know what we're voting on, but we're voting on resolutions 854 to 858, which has the friendly amendment in 854.
And we're going to take 855 into executive session, correct?
That's right. We'll deal with that one later. We're just voting on, that's right, thank you. We're voting on 854 through 856 through 858. Thank you, Vice President Ellen, for catching that. You got that, Madam Clerk? Yes. All right, all those in favor of resolutions 854 and 856 through 858, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, we're getting close, folks. I don't want to make the motion. Can someone make a motion to table resolution 859? We discussed that. It's been moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Vice President Elliott. We're tabling it to a date certain, which is what the Robert's rules required, which is June 27, 2017. All those in favor of that motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
And then that would leave, we're done with resolutions. My goodness. Can we get some applause for that? My goodness. Kind of tough.
I do have a new business, I just want to.
Yeah, we got new business. There's no unfinished business from a previous meeting. We do have some new business, Vice President Elliott.
Mr. President, I just wanted to, and I think the clerk and I worked on this, in reference to County Legislator John Lightfoot. He had also approached me about a letter of support for the local diploma. And so we had been working on, did I send it to everybody? The letter? Okay, so you all got a letter that was crafted around,
Could you resend that, please, because I don't know.
okay, of letter of support. So I'd like to be able to, I'll resend it. And if, I don't know what the protocol is, do we have to vote on that at this point? Or could we just, if everybody approves of the letter, can we send it to the state in reference to supporting the local diploma?
Normally, we don't have to vote for on that, but normally what we would do is you just call everybody. But if you got everybody here, does anybody have an opinion about it?
I don't think that Commissioner Cruz saw the letter.
Feel free to go ahead and vote on it if we need to move it, so yeah.
Is everybody, you don't even have to vote on it. Does anybody assent to the board's, do you want each individual members on it, or do you want it to go from the board?
From the board.
So you want the president's signature on there?
That could be, I'm fine with that.
Or do you want individual, I don't care, you want individual
President's
board members?
signature is fine with me unless someone else.
And I don't need a formal vote, but I do need board members to say. You do need a formal vote, Mr. President. No, not to send a letter, Carl, not to send a letter. Absolutely not.
Well, can we just do it anyway?
No, because, well, if we do, and I don't think we do, but if we do, we've been not doing that for decades. But
I'll make a motion.
Well, I know you'll check on it, Carl.
Uh-oh, it's on camera.
I know you'll, no, I know, well, anyways.
Carl, there's Robert's rules, and then there's how we roll.
That's right. There you go. And there's some truth to that. Robert's rules.
They're superseded by how we roll.
Right. Robert's rules are.
Can't be superseded
That's
by
right.
how we roll.
That's right. But in any event, I think Commissioner Elliott, Vice President Elliott, do you want individual members?
No, I'm just, if you, your name is fine on it, unless someone else, excuse me?
The letter is proposed with the president's signature.
Okay.
I'm fine with
all
that.
right.
Any objection to that,
Any objection to
colleagues?
that? Or do people want to see it?
I don't have any objection, but I had proposed earlier when you first put it out that I'd love to have a good discussion about this at some point, in a special meeting.
Well, maybe
I think
we
it
can invite,
deserves, but we could.
County Legislator Lightfoot to a meeting to discuss it.
Yeah, it just deserves a good discussion, but I'm not against it. I just, it's a rich discussion.
Commissioner Adams?
She's laughing at me because I keep having my hand up. I agree with Liz, because I don't know, have you weighed in? Has the superintendent weighed in on the letter? Or do you know what have you seen it?
Region.
Okay. Because I had sent a response that in general I'm supportive, but for example, what's the organization that we got slammed by with the 7%? What's the foundation?
Schott.
The Schott Foundation.
Foundation.
The Schott Foundation report was because they would not count any local diplomas toward graduation. So they would say 7%, even though we had substantially higher numbers. Many of those were local diplomas. So there's that dynamic of it being not considered college ready. So I really don't personally care about the state's accountability framework in terms of saying we're not college ready. I don't care what SED says in terms of that in and of itself. I don't care. But on the other hand, I want to make sure we don't put in place some kind of dynamic where we have teachers in some cases who maybe aren't pushing our students to their full potential. Right. And I don't want this to be an easy way out for students who otherwise would be college, pushing college. At the same time, I definitely support it in general, but I just want to address that potential issue. And I don't want us to sign on to something that it unintentionally creates a path to dumb down things, even though a local diploma in the appropriate cases is not dumbing down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any problem. That happens all the time in this district.
Well, so do we, so the reason why the state, no, and that's why I'm raising it. That's exactly why I'm raising it, because do we want to create something that might facilitate that?
Well, let me just say, I didn't get a Regis diploma.
Either.
And Legislator Lightfoot didn't get a Regis
And
diploma.
again, I'm not saying that I support it overall, but there is this significant potential risk that we should address.
But there's also great opportunity. So yeah, we could talk about that.
And we might want to make a statement about it, a rich statement about it.
But I also would like to hear from the superintendent.
So why don't we, unless there's any objection from you, Vice President Elliott, we could put this on ESA's agenda or governance.
There's enough discussion there.
Yeah.
And let me just say, this is rich discussion.
Yeah,
it's really rich discussion. So I appreciate it very much.
So do we want to put on intergovernmental relations? Is that what you want to do?
Yes,
All right, so we'll get it on that agenda and maybe get John to come and talk to us.
That'd be great.
Maybe make it a committee of a whole.
Yep. And you could just tell how passionate he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he saw those young men, and that's what he's doing it for.
Yep.
So young men can have opportunities.
All right. Any other new business? Now, before we go, I always like to end.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
May I real quick?
Yes, sir.
I want to congratulate, being a chair of the Finance Committee.
Yes.
I really do appreciate this. This is fantastic. And this is, the whole budget in a whole one page is fantastic. And I think it really gives folks an opportunity to take a look at the budget from this perspective.
Now,
It's done really well.
The amount of the budget, is that not in here?
Yeah, it's in here. So I just want to commend the staff for this. I think this is really well done. And it's a way for us to be able, again, communicate with folks in terms of being able to look at our budget and to see the more important things that we do in this district. So, thank you.
All right. Yes, let me piggyback on this. This is an excellent job. I don't think it's ever been done in this district before. It's got some great highlights on it. So thank you, Superintendent Dean Williams, for doing this. And I know your staff that produces. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still not adjourned yet because we could include this in good news. I don't know if anybody else has any good news, but I promised you a board meeting ago that we would not only end every meeting with good news, but that I would offer up a good news song. So today, not only do we have a good song by Michael Bublé. I know we got to go to executive session, but we're going to do this good news stuff. And we got a picture. Now, before you put the picture up there, I want to tell y'all something. Back in 1981, I was what they call a thespian. That's an actor, for those of you who don't know. I was in a play, a musical called Roar the Grease Paint, Smell the Crowd. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I only got a local diploma, so I didn't know what that was.
All right, so it was a musical. And long before Michael Bublé began singing this song, Feeling Good, Van White sung it. Show the picture and play the music.
Uh-oh.
We're going out.
Lord.
Oh!
Is that you?
That's me.
Are you serious?
Birds flying high.
That's the song I sang. I think I was.